Ma. Hello. Sorry, a little bit later than it's supposed to be, but eh. Hello, Speedy. Hello, Tor. I doubt that we can beat that evil with dropping a barn or a bucket of water. Yeah. Kansashof. Hello, Scarf. Alright, what am I doing? Oh yeah, pop the chat out so I can see it. Alright, there we go. And I think I've pretty much got everything sorted out. Wait for... There we go, put that up. And we're just going to go right into it. So we finished, so we did these three, and now we're just doing these three. So that's five story stuff to go through. Apparently the Witch King is very talkative, so this might be a particularly longer stream, but we'll have to see. I'm hoping it won't go over 4 hours, because then it would be midnight, but we'll have to see. Hello, Raphael. So I'm just going to go right into it. So, before and after. Before. Hogwarts. Lucky enough, managed to finish S5 challenge mode today with a lot of 6-star brute force. I must admit, I've started to go into the 6-star brute force sometimes. Veggiello. Frau Drost. Ebenholz is uncertain when he got separated from the others. Crumbling structures fall periodically from above, and the stairs beneath his feet spiral endlessly. He can only move forward. He is alone. In... the fuck is that word? Indefatigable? You are despicable, Lebenholz. You've interfered in our judgment, wasted our time, and hindered our cause. You're practically the worst sinner there is. Forgive me if I don't look as sorry as I feel. I love the sass that Ebenholz has. So would you join us for an audience with His Majesty now? Or would you seek to prevent his return to the mundane world? Tireless, persistent. Okay, so basically so the opposite of fatigued, I'm guessing, is probably what the fatigable bit means. You do not have what it takes. You could not do it. That should have been clear long ago. We should have known. It's obvious. His Majesty's blood is so strong, his soul so tenacious. The voice of mundane was but a byproduct of his music, and yet it alone had brought you to your knees with the pain it inflicts. Oh yeah, I was wondering why mundane world sounded familiar. You were born weak. Far too weak to live up to any expectations. That is to say, you're the ones forcing those wretched noises into my mind. Hello, how late am I? Oh, I only just started. I didn't start an hour early like last time. Then, in the end, it is me who bears responsibility for all this. You should be thankful, Ebenholz. Should they'd known from the beginning what the voice of mundane... that the voice of mundane wasn't the key to His Majesty's inheritance, would the twins have granted you the title of Graf Utica? No, even before then, you'd have died in the cradle. You should take pride in your title, but more than that, you should be ashamed of it. Yeah, I feel the same. And so, begone. Begone, thought. You are hateful, Ebenholz. How many died under the Witch King's tyranny? How many disappeared without a trace? Leithanien is scarred, and even 23 years later the wounds are still bleeding. Verdammt, rather. I read that as damn it as well. So, verdammt. Only for the tyrant to die silently one night, never knowing any proper justice. And you, his last remaining descendant. Means the same thing, so it's okay. Yeah, it's just funny that I added the I into the middle as I was reading it. And you... Ooh, loud vehicle. And you, his last remaining descendant, you were born with the mark of sin in your blood. You should atone for him, atone for all he did to Leithanien. What right do you have to live a comfortable life, Ebenholz, all while mocking yourself as an obvious nobody? I despise this sin-tainted blood each and every day, the same as you do. No, you have no idea the evil it has wrought. Those remnants steal into Urtica again and again, encircling your spire like flies to rotten meat. My youngest son had only just joined the security forces when he found their trail. His corpse bobbed in the ravine for 3 days before they found it, all while you hid away in your spire. Do you even know the size of the Urtica domain? What crops it produces? How often the tax collector comes from the capital? What disasters the land has suffered in recent years? Hello, Red. Are you streaming every day now? No, I'm just streaming each... I'm basically trying to finish this event because it finishes tomorrow, so I had to... I basically had no choice but to do all 3 days. Otherwise, I'll end up... it will end up finishing and I won't be able to stream it all. There is no lens here more hateful than you, your illustrious highness. You sure you can do everything today? I hope I can. There's only 3 stages left, but it depends on how long they are. I mean, I'll have to give it my best shot, because there's no other chance afterwards. Yeah, so it's 5 cutscenes in total. Stop. Go no further. The braver you are, the more ridiculous you look. You're a pitiful Ebenholz. Do you remember Gertrude? Before she died, she left some real nasty curses. She cursed Visserheim, Leithanien, the Witch King, and she cursed you. Isn't it only added to archives after the rerun, though? Her curse was, word for word, may the madness of Ebenholz's bloodline haunt him forever. No? Oh. Okay, well in which case, if it gets too late or if I get too tired, then I will stop it and then just have to wait a few days. The archive is real time. Okay. I didn't realise that. When you came back to Zwillingstürme, I thought to myself, damn, that mad woman's curse really came to pass. That stubborn kid couldn't escape the vortex of fate. Of course, he would never give in to fate, but this time, he'll have to fall into madness to break free of it. You should feel relieved, shouldn't you? The voice of Mundane has troubled you for over a decade, but even more than resisting it, you've been carefully guarding it. You were guarding a bomb, afraid that it would blow at any moment, afraid that the wrong people could use it to hurt the innocent. That was a heavy burden, an extraordinary fate. But in the end, it was just noise, a totally non-lethal headache. Go home, Ebenholz. Gertrude's curse has already fizzled. 9. I can't bear it. Because this is an even more debilitating curse. In the end, your struggle isn't even worth mentioning. Your resistance is meaningless. I'm glad I didn't say your resistance is futile. Those who sacrifice themselves for this, those tears and smiles you've carried in your mind forever, how will you face them? You've come to realize that trust, pity, understanding, mutual reliance, all those incredibly beautiful emotions, they're not precious because they're rare. But they can suddenly turn so light, so weightless. Like a joke. Yeah, a joke. How could they be a joke? Ah, there we are. He looks to the spire. The leaning spire of Pisa. Ha, I knew it. I knew you'd be here. You've been dead so long, but you still fantasize about letting this wicked spire descend upon Leithanien again. You won't succeed. Is it going to be Gertrude? I will use all my arts, wave my wand until it breaks, manipulate my Virginium dice until they shatter. If you still have flesh, I will destroy it. If you still have a soul, I will annihilate it. I will interrogate you, curse you, and I will kill you. Witch King. Oh, okay, never mind. For some reason, I thought he immediately saw someone there, so I assumed it was going to be a person like with Yulia, but I guess not. Oh, speaking of. Oh. I wasn't expecting him to be right there. Franz. Do not touch the notes in the air. The witchcraft I've integrated into the melody here, which I have deleted, still contains a terrible power that will last until it completely dissipates. Calm your emotions, evade the will of the ancients from a millennium ago. Do not let your mind be distracted. Ebenholz tightens his grip on his wand, but cannot say a word. He has read all about the Witch King. Not long ago, he was even imprisoned in this room. He knows his history. The notes flow slowly out about the space. The melody, known as Syracusa, is leaving the movement that is Leithanien. He hears what sounds like the booming of loud thunder, pouring rain, and surging wind. The will of Leithanien has turned into a power that matches heaven and earth, washing repeatedly over the small room. Even standing at the door, the surging energy presses firmly against his heartbeat. Man, this looks like a fucking Roman emperor. The man at the center of the room does not turn to look at him. He is focused and proud. He is a reef that stands above the turbulent waves. Oh no, his heart! Immediately as he posted that, Les posted it as well. Ebenholz cannot help but suspect he has come to the wrong place. This looks more like the fateful night of a certain composer, or a most passionate lecture by a historian. He looks like the Emperor of Mankind. You know, now that you mention it, he does. Especially with the reef crown. Or is it reef or reed? Oh, whatever it's called. You know, those things. Anyway. There is no hatred here. No destiny. Nowhere to place his anger. Ebenholz suddenly realizes one thing. He has never truly seen the Witch King in all his life. Not even in his most terrifying nightmares. Fremont, you're late again. I don't recall you being such a popular teacher. Did you find yourself waylaid by a crowd of students? That is weird seeing him look so young. That's weird. Get him out of here. Laurels, thank you. I was thinking of for some reason I was thinking of the other thing, you know, the round circle of stuff that you put on your door at Christmas. That's what I was confusing it for, but no, yeah, laurels is the correct term. For the Emperor. First, if a teacher's temperament makes you hesitate in the face of knowledge, that means nothing more than these youths claiming to be Leithanien's finest are, in fact, fit only to tend the ivy that climbs her spires. There's also no, it's made into a circle and you hang it on your door. I forgot what it's called. I want to say it's a wreath, but I'm not sure. Secondly, it is Ludwig's Universitat, not you, that grants me my scholarly stipend each month. I am not at your beck and call. Or should I not talk back to His Majesty the Great Herkulestorn like this? Yeah, I was about to say, you're somewhat confident. I mean, I suppose you were still alive in current year, so I guess it worked, but still. This isn't the first time, nor will it be the last. Next month, Kurfürsten from across the land will begin to arrive in Leithanien. Time is running out, Fremont. Oh damn it, now I'm going to have to look it up because I'm way too curious. Okay, a reef, yeah, I was right, it is a reef. Anyway, sorry. I hope that when their audiences conclude, they will each take copies of the amended Goldensatz back to their respective Kaiser. You're known far and wide as the exceptional monarch, even called a once-in-a-millennium ruler by these sheep and deer. Are you really so eager to set your own prestige in stone? What's next? Bringing the Kurfürsten's armies and civic powers under the direct control of the Imperial Spire? We've already discussed this. When I first arrived in Leithanien, the Kaiser at the time was already troubled by the Syracusan question. How long has it been? Now, the wolf pups dare not make but slightly bigger moves. You've only just ascended. Why not take some time to choose your robes for the upcoming ceremony? I've already chosen. Are you still worried that amending the Goldenizat and the accompanying policies could plunge the realm into unforeseen turmoil? I don't care what happens to Leithanien, but moving my library would be a tremendous pain. You've been studying the movement ever since you became Kurfürst of Einwald. We both know precisely what it is, and why no one dared consider amending it for 1,000 years. The three main sections, the tenfold melody woven into one, it's a truly superior piece of witchcraft created by the arts masters of the prior millennium. It is the supreme will of Leithanien, infused with the power of countless sages into the creation, contemplation, and protection of this land. He's very expressionate, like almost every other line seems to change his facial expression. Like a lot more than a lot of the other characters, I've gotta say. Like, I know most characters tend to have, like, what is it, 5 or 6 different expressions, but they tend not to change as frequently as his does. But I suppose that makes sense, because it's quite extravagant when you think about it. Like, it's very... You can see him being very sort of dancey in the way he moves and talks. So it kind of makes sense that his face is all over the place when he speaks. It is as close as we could possibly come to eternity. Oh, not again. If I had a penny for every gacha that had someone obsessed with eternity. Everyone has 50 ways to express disdain for you. Eternity. Setting aside the Minoan philosophers musing on the question of whether or not a man can step into the same river twice, I think only the liches are particularly fond of using that word. And only you people truly understand its meaning. Eternity, the immutable, the immovable. But eternity does not mean immortality. Indeed, the sages who crafted the movement of 1,000 years ago accomplished an impossible feat. That is when this land came to be known as Leithanien, but it's more than just the name of a country. The idea of Leithanien is what allows the people here to both prosper and suffer together, engraving elegance, harmony, morality, and beauty into every breath we take. Jesus, this person really is a Calcit wannabe. They are of a millennium ago crafted a superior version of the country, making Leithanien into a truth of the land. But all truths eventually decay, and our current friction with Syracusa is the greatest proof of that. But I will bring a better future for Leithanien. The new Leithanien ruler produces a movement and looks at the Lich. Eternity, immortality. Herkufthorn's voice is not heavy, but Tremont hears these hefty words shatter and reassemble between his lips and teeth. If they show us Leithanien's past, show us Emperor too. Just imagine Emperor, but in, like, you know, a fancy, like, conductor's or, you know, just a composer's outfit, what you'd expect of, like, an old school composer sort of thing. Since I was late for the last stream, what is your opinion of the nationwide mind control arts? Oh, you mean as in the Golden Melody? I mean, I can see why people want to destroy it, and I kind of agree with that. No, I didn't forget. I know that's what he was like. That's why I'm saying it would be funny to see him like that. As in, like, actually art of him in, like, fancy composer stuff. Maybe even with, like, the white wig thing. But anyway, in terms of the Golden Melody, though, yeah, I think it's like a... It's like a mini lore. Like, lore light. It's not quite the same as the lore, but it has a similar effect, at least when it's played. How arrogant of you. How very Herkulstorn. But how can you ensure that Leithanien, under your rule, won't face even greater crises, rather? Well, yeah, I suppose there's Gaul, like, not long after, right? That the future you bring in will be truly immortal. There is no composition that can be written, no arts that can be surpassed, no will that can't be overcome, no unknown that can't be conquered. Immortality lies in renewal. To this day, both the ocean and the sky remain shrouded in a fog of cognition, and this continent is the limit of what Terrans can know and perceive. Very perceptive. But the knowledge you've shared tells us that even the loftiest clouds and deepest sea trenches are nothing but reality imprisoned by time and space. And beyond this reality there exists another side of the world, a realm of emptiness, elusive and dangerous. If the questions are endless, then so too must be the answers. The Graf's spire in Urtica is too small, so I built the Genesis spire in Leithanien. It is already the tallest in Leithanien, but not necessarily across all lands. Even here they've got the Burj Khalifa. It's annoying, really. But I will never stop. That is the difference between myself and Sage's past. What about the Sage's future and the Sage's present? That is immortality, Fremont. I hope that when you build a new spire, you'll make a few extra rooms, so you won't need to use my own secret chamber just to modify a piece of music. I will. Now then, let us begin. I'll go activate the resonance capture devices. It will all be clearer once we dismantle the melody later. He got inspired. Herkulstorn sits firmly on a chair in the centre of the room, unfolding the movement. Fremont nudges aside priceless ancient tomes to make room for the witchcraft matrices. By the way, Fremont, what is it you call the other side of the world? The beginning and end of all threads. A pretty name. Their phylactery grants liches an almost unique ability among the races. Concealing that phylactery, is it phylactery or phylactery? I think it's ph. Means a life that will not end. With infinite time, liches are allowed to glimpse the infinite truths of the world, but do you treat them as merely pages in a tome of knowledge? Caution is our nature. The more we discover, the fewer spaces we can live. Right then, Fremont, what about you? Me? The beginning and the end of all threads. You often complain that the liches under your command are either too young or too hidebound. But have you ever considered entering that space, rather than treating it as simply a drawer in which to hide your phylactery? A terrible chill sweeps over Fremont. A faint but dazzling light blooms atop Herkenthorn's sceptre. He has already begun to play the Gazette. Fremont's hands have not stopped either. Lich and Caprine, king of the royal court and Kaiser of Leithanien, they have always moved in tacit agreement. Even in tensest moments, the two could insert discussions on various topics, philosophy, music, and sometimes even the climate and cuisine of Leithanien. When the leader of the Liches is like, "You're kind of crazy, bro." Yeah. Jeez, odd man, you hide your heart in the warp. Just... It's like, so where exactly do you keep your phylactery, or whatever it's called? Oh, you know, I just hide it in the Immaterium. I mean, to be fair, isn't part of the Emperor's soul or whatever also in the Immaterium in order to, like, light up those lighthouses or waypoints or whatever? It's still very funny talking about that while this guy literally looks like the Emperor of Man. Herkenthorn had raised the matter so naturally, the true secret threatening the mortality of the Liches. If he used his exile to the fullest extent, the life threads could dissolve all of these notes in an instant, annihilating the defenseless man before him. No one else knew the Leithanien Kaiser had come here. He would have enough time to tell the Lich Court to flee the country. Like, I just hide it in a place between worlds is all. Ooh, I want to go there. You what? But Herkenthorn had raised it so naturally, casually bringing up the secret that had remained hidden all these long years. After a long while, Fremont bursts into hearty laughter. Wonderful. As it happens, I've also encountered some bottlenecks in my study of that space. He literally just opened up a tome and went, "Well, seeing as you asked." just completely ready to vent the moment he had the chance. If you're really interested, Herkenthorn, I could lend you my phylactery. You what now? You could what now? Does that mean we're gonna have to kill Fremont in order to get rid of this place? That's enough, Herkenthorn. Don't you find nostalgia nauseating? It's enough to make me want to vomit last night's leftovers. Besides, I'm running out of time. He grew a beard. It's been a while, Fremont. I'm sure you remember that what you've borrowed. The time has come to return it. What a bit of white in the beard and hair too. That was surprisingly short. I say in an Arknights thing, it's only 30 minutes. Interesting. The Dwarven King Gazelle from As I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Oh, I haven't seen that anime yet. Franz, steady your breathing. You're going to crush your Reginium dice into powder. Oh, is it his dice? Their former owner, in Bielefeld, was a rare great caster of Erdenherr who lived a century ago. He once used the dice to control the wind and lightning in the central valleys of Gaul, masterfully sinking the indomitable flagship of Corsica First, rather. I have to leave soon, but there is something I've got to ask you. Sure, yeah, ask. Though I can't necessarily guarantee an answer depending on what it is it's asked. And ruining the enemy's formation in a single stroke. Grimace, mash or pass? Ooh. I'd say smash, but I feel like I would be the one getting smashed. I don't think I'll have much to say in the matter. The Battle of the Four Emperors. Wait, that was a century ago. Oh, okay. I guess it wasn't during his reign then. Or maybe it was. I don't know. No, it wasn't. Indeed. It was a delightful victory. The Gaulishman couldn't even manage to cobble together a complete banner. The lamentations of the fleeing and the cheers of the victorious alternated, like a grand duet. Yeah, have a nice time, Raphael. Unfortunately, we lost Bielefeld in the subsequent attacks on Leithanien. I saved those dice as a tribute to him, in his honour. Did send you something in regards to Bielefeld in Discord. Whoever picked that name, respect. Oh, interesting. Let me see. Oh, you sent it as DM. Conspiracy, or this one I pronouncement is a satirical conspiracy theory that claims that the city of Bielefeld, Germany, does not exist. Oh, you mentioned this. Hello, Merwin. Instead, an illusion propagated by various forces to distract mythology. You mentioned that. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Oh, okay. If the will of a caster wavers like the grass in winter, how long could he ever hope to control the wind and lightning? Ebenholz remains silent. The Witch King's tone is calm, even gentle. It was a feeling not unlike he had discovered a child who'd stolen an old item from his home. Oh, hello, cat. Oh, shush. Stopped him and explained the item's provenance after the necessary scolding. How long have you been gone, Franz? Was it Franz? I suppose it'd be Franz, rather. Gone? Like all the highway exits around Bielefeld lead you in a giant circle back on the highway, and so that blew out of proportion one day. Oh, that's how it started. Interesting. The weakening golden melody seeks an exit from the secret chamber. Bronze. With Ebenholz and the Witch King standing outside the door. Before them lies a steep, dark red staircase. This man in his red and black. I mean, I respect it, but still. He could do with a little bit of purple, though. Anyway, I hope your day is going well, Cat. This is the Graf Spire in Utica. A series of changes have taken place since the Visserheim incident, and he had been gone for over a year, but he could never forget the place. Going great, it's good to get to hear your voice. Do you dislike these stairs? These carpets, blood red, engraved with dark patterns beneath the pristine handrails. The messengers who came from the capital every once in a while exchanging glances, the servants standing in every corner. Sorry, it's hard to like them. Right. When I was your age, I would wake up in the middle of the night and take these stairs to wake up my tutor. Oh yeah, I'm sure your tutor was very appreciative of that. Nice lady gave me a free backpack, which I've been searching ages for. Really? That's nice. The Witch King ascends the stairs. The sounds spread far down the long corridor as the lamps along the walls light up one by one. I'm going to put you in it. No! Illuminating the path beneath the feet of the spire's owner. Between the lamps float interconnected intricacies of witchcraft. The tutor sent by the empresses was intended to perform poorly. So many a night, Ebenholz would sneak into subtler corridors to practice. He unconsciously followed the Witch King. For a moment, he seemed to think that the man was still living in the spire, only waking up in the middle of the night to head to the door. For whatever unknown reason. Empresses be like, we taught him wrong as a joke. Wait, what's that from? That's a reference to something, isn't it? I feel like I've heard that before. Not going to talk in chat much. Recovering from the flu. Yeah, that's fair. Hope it's going well. The short-horned Ilafia opened the door. I didn't go in. I stood in the doorway and asked him. Over the course of 3 months, I reviewed the 634 scores collected throughout the ancient spire, all composed by famous musicians and grand casters. I took the melodies apart, including those that were incomplete or unplayable. Why is it that the art of which Leithanien is so proud, accumulating the beauty of elegance and harmony of 1,000 years, flows with dead melodies and crusty notes? Isn't that a classic joke in itself, sending someone to buy bubbles for a spirit level? Oh, I've definitely seen stuff like that, or like you need a gas sample from the exhaust or something like that. But I mean, I feel like specifically as in like saying we taught him wrong as a joke. I feel like that line is specifically from something. I remember hearing it, but I can't remember from what. I turned this sculpture by the door into a sandbox, quickly deducing the situation for the next century. Iberia would form an alliance with the sea. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, you mean with the fact that I completely forgot Aegir exists? Or Aegir. Was it Aegir or Aegir? I can never remember now. It's been so long. But I completely forgot that nation exists, so I just assumed he meant the Seaborn. I'm like, I would hardly call that an alliance. But okay, no, he means the Golden Age when they allied with Aegir or Aegir, whichever one it was. Victoria's Steel Knights would spew steam. Boots coated with mud and blood would tromp into foreign lands, the ghoulish irises would bloom in the deep forests of Einwald. But what of Leithanien? The country's horns and fangs have rotted nearly right out of our heads. First with Syracusa, then with Sturmland, moss and vermin infest every nook and cranny of the spires. Why do you turn a blind eye to all of this? 9. Why do you not know of it? The shorthorn Elafia, there we go, was still half asleep, but more detestable than the sand he still sprinkled. Unwiped in the corners of his eyes was his long silence, the fear and emptiness he tried to hide. From the movie Kung Pao. Ah, okay. He claimed to be the most knowledgeable man in Utica, and even all of Einwald, but he could not answer a single question. Then you kicked him out of the spire, and his entire house fell into decline. I've heard the story. Just for that, you truly are unreasonable. Younger, if I were you, those hypocritical servants who secretly partook in the wine cellar of the wine cellar would never drink a drop of water again. They would feel the pain of their throats cracking inch by inch until their deaths. As for the teacher who tried to mould me into useless rubbish, he would find himself impaled by arts dozens or hundreds of times stronger than his during one of those pre-functionary demonstrations. His expression of fear could be frozen into the fine sculpture. The foolish ministers who tried to manipulate me with a melody that would be manipulated themselves, and the obvious contradictions between the twins, black and gold, could be exploited. Exploitation without purpose, arbitrarily taking lives. In your own words, those heinous acts are completely meaningless. Witch King. The purpose of a stairway is to lead you to a higher place. I despise these stairs as well, but because they are too short. Short how? They go everywhere. Graf Urtica's spire is so small, with such a narrow view. Did you do the event minigame with the emotion music matching? Yes, I did. I'm not sure about the Easter egg, which might mean no. Unless I just didn't notice. I'm not sure now. Can we just take the elevator? Hello there, just came from Thean Marker. Oh yeah, I forgot he was doing that. He did chapter 4, didn't he? Yeah, so a little bit. Franz, you see this spire as a cage, so how will you break free of it? Ah, I don't think I got that. I'm not sure then. How will you defeat your enemies? He stopped after 4-4. Oh, interesting, okay. Who are your enemies? Ah! The stairs, they're falling. This music has been in my head the entire fucking day and I wasn't sure where it came from. Just that bit, the dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Like that bit there. Just like I'll just be working, I'll be like mixing chemicals, and in the back of my head there's just this aggressively going on violin. I'm just like, why? Where? Who's this coming from? Why is this so epic? You are despicable, Ebonholes. Oh, we're going back to this again. You are hateful, Ebonholes. You are pitiful, Ebonholes. Oh, there we go. I remember that bit now. The glitching, pausing thing. Is it them? 9, of course not. Then, is it the Witch King? Is he the nightmare that has troubled you for a lifetime? Nightmare? The increasingly empty house, the white-haired child holding his trembling hand on his knee, softly singing a song that begins with "The sky is blue and fine." The sound of the cello spreads out like the endless grasslands, while the sound of the piano turns into a flowing stream. He washes away all weariness, allowing him to walk a long way, with the dark of night no longer so heavy. He often dreamed of these things. Dreams are already fleeting, and if he has to miss these beautiful moments, he would rather never sleep. To be fair though, I don't actually understand why everyone always says that the earlier chapters aren't as good, or they keep like trying to tell people it's better later on, don't worry. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed Arknights right from the very beginning. So I don't know, I feel like it's more common sentiment from a lot of people, at least a lot of people I've seen, to actually enjoy the earlier chapters as well. I think it's because we get so used to how the later chapters are that when we look back at it, we think, oh, that's weird. That's probably the reason why. So we sort of try to compensate for it. That might be more so the case. It's probably more so that we're so used to the way it's written now that looking back at it, kind of, you see all of the issues. It's mainly for people who think slow start equals bad. I mean, is it a slow start, though? We started right in the middle of a city getting destroyed. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I suppose it just depends, each your own. Maybe it's probably just a mix of multiple things. It's certainly not like Final Fantasy XIV that requires 300 hours or something, but eh. Anyway, 9. I have never dreamed of you. Memory. Memory? Ain't this the place from Syracuse? Oh. Fall des Hexenturms. Triumph der Goldmund. Vorspiel zu Zwillingstürme. Does fall mean the same thing as it does in English? Also, I was not expecting triumph to be the same word, unless it's just, you just use English for whatever reason. The theatres across the country must perform certain plays each quarter, all with similar themes, with Utica being the old tyrant's homeland. Such plays were put on twice as often. Fall of Witch Tower, Triumph of the Golden Moon, Prelude to the Twin Towers. Okay, makes sense. And as the Graf of Utica, he was required to attend all of them. How many times did he sit in the audience watching the Witch King perish during a duet of justice, shortly before leading a standing ovation? Statues on the streets rather. illustrations in books. He has seen countless witch kings. Without exception, a mysterious light surrounded their twisted horns, and even their voices had a strange tremor, as sinister effects were added to them. They were quick to anger, cruel, bloodthirsty, with grotesque and exaggerated expressions under their masks. Not one of them, not a single portrayal, matched the appearance of the man before him. The ambitions of the masses need adornment. Their desires need release. Their hatred needs relief. And you, Franz? The larger the shadow that obscures your fate, the more your failures have to stand on. Every one of you is happy to imagine such a witch king for the purposes of that attribution. Imagining, you say? The cruel decrees, the inhuman experiments, the fires of war, and the suffering you inflicted, the countless innocent lives lost, all of it, you call that imagined? We're talking about you, Franz. You've never made the slightest effort? You've never made the slightest effort to represent the people you now claim to have died. Now, kind of like what I was saying earlier before. Oh, that was red. Oh, that's not red again. A sudden headache washes over him. Much like the nights he was haunted by the voice of Mundane. On those nights, he could only grip his flute desperately. He felt as though he was dying, so he would exert all his strength to curse the man before him until his surroundings became clear. But the voice of Mundane is long gone. Then why does the pain still flow? Ebenholz cannot see his own bloodshot eyes, but the layer of red webbing in his veiled vision becomes increasingly heavy. Pain stirs all memories, tearing through all emotion, as if trying to draw everything out of his head to transform into something tangible. Nightmares, memories, imagination. Look back on your rather short life. Countless times you've cursed the name entwined with your own, that indelible mark. Could it all have been nothing more than facing the void, looking into the mirror? No? The Witch King is dead. Long live the Witch King? By the time you were born, by the time of that night 23 years ago, and his death was genuine. Well, the song stanchion is from Franz Schubert. You are right! You are 100% right! Franz is in Franz Schubert. Yeah! I didn't even consider that when he was first called Franz in the previous stream. I didn't even think of that. Huh. What meaning is there in calling a dead man your enemy? The terrifying experiments of your childhood, the pain that lingered throughout your life, the cold eyes and mockery of so-called representatives and servants, the criticisms and accusations of others, do you still dwell on these things? 9. You know very well that, compared to what I've lost, all those are insignificant. Correct. You don't care. You really are upholding the promise you made to him. You're prepared to walk through the long night, bearing it all. But Ebenholz, why, after all this time, are you still in such pain? Accepting a punishment is not the same thing as finding redemption. Why can't you forgive yourself, the man who has always been protected to the very last? Why can't you let go of the sacrifices they made for you? Why do you continue to indulge in self-flagellation? unable to move forward. Because there might yet be even more precious commitments, or even greater sacrifices, even deeper regrets and even longer suffering ahead. You can't help but doubt, you can't help but fear. So then, Ebonholes, who is your enemy? But Ebonholes, if you don't move toward the light, we can never walk out of that night. And the night itself is meaningless. The night itself is meaningless. I feel like someone else said that to him. Sehr gut, Franz. I'm going to assume that's very good. You have defeated your enemies and broken free of the spire that was your prison. The Witch King waves his hand and the golden melody, as if finally released, flows toward the door like so many harmless fireflies, quietly drifting in the river of history. I'm assuming this Witch King that we're seeing here, the young one, isn't real, or at least like in the same way that Yulia is, because we've seen the older Witch King. So I'm wondering if it's still this place or whatever doing their thing. They pass by Ebonholes, brushing against his clothes and hair with a touch ever so gentle. Ebonholes suddenly feels a baffling sensation, as if the Witch King had patted him on the head. Head pats from the tyrant. Ebonholes cannot control himself. He bursts into laughter. So, after all my tremendous efforts to storm Genesis Horn, I end up winning the praise of His Majesty the Witch King. He laughs at the image of himself, at his own embarrassment. He laughs at the past 19 years, realizing he has never laughed this heartedly. Even if thunderous rage were to punish him for his lapse the very next second, and headaches were to him backed into the abyss, and or even if he were to shatter into pieces, he wants to keep laughing, but nothing happens. The endless staircase, the spire of Utica, even the Witch King, it all vanishes, nothing remains but an empty throne. I was right. Ebonhole stands before the throne in silence, waiting for the unreal sensation to fade away completely. Oh, the gang's all here, maybe? You've been watching a long time, Sancta. Oh, you've been watching long enough. I don't know where I got long time from. In his laughter, I felt a sense of melancholy and liberation. The character at the centre of this drama finally confronts all that he's been through, whether scripted or in life. Yeah, I know. I don't know where that came from. It's like I try in his laughter, but I don't know. It's weird. It's like I missed the L. If he finds a new goal, he carries on steadfast. What about you? You were the first to enter my pavilion, even before Fremont. The pavilion, my palace. Thanks to Yulia, I got a glimpse of what it looks like. It reproduces all that Leithanien has ever taken pride in, the spires that join the millennia, the knowledge, art, and power accumulated over generations, undiminished by time. There is nothing else like it, an immense project beyond human capability. In fact, I speculated on it even before. The soldier, the painter, the scholar, the tuner. I've met each of those who personally witnessed der Tod des Hexenkönigs. That night made the deepest impression on their lives. They were entangled by it, trapped in the contradictions of their times and themselves. Through them I reconstructed the last melody and you left in the mortal plane. Hoarse and cacophonous, impossible to interpret through conventional music theory. This melody could not possibly point to a legacy to inherit, as your followers had expected. It was never meant for the mortal plane. The echoes painstakingly collected by the people of Leithanien are the bricks and mortar of this palace. Another form of construction material you left behind. They would ultimately be found by others, but who could uncover their purpose? Fame, honour, wealth, an individual, a house, a class. These shallow motives run throughout all melodies across all lands. The meaning of music has always been so narrow. Thankta, unlike those foolish ministers, you come from the so-called Holy City, and are unconcerned with Leithanien's past and future. Nor are you a lich, unaware of the existence of Kargerreich. You do not walk the path that Fremont does. And so, why are you here? Before I explain my purpose, I have a question. At this very moment, as we stand here, are you only a strand of strings trembling in rigor mortis? A patchwork of flickering light subjectively coloured by emotion? One of the countless fragments of consciousness? Or are you the fully intact Witch King? I had meant to play you. The physical walls underpinning sound cannot be realised in Kargerreich. However, the place I stand does not acknowledge the rules of Kargerreich. The loss of sound is your own limitation, and has nothing to do with the pavilion. Music is your eyes, your ears, your heart, your everything. You think you've lost all perception, yet desire is stronger. You are a dull yet interesting observer. Oof. Arturia releases her grip on the cello and simply looks at the Witch King. His entire life, all he has been through, his thoughts and emotions collectively resonate through the space, filling every cubic inch. This is the palace he has built for himself. You walked in, you see what he sees. You? Arturia sees what she had read in the old Lich's memories. The blackness. Infinite blackness, or rather, chaos. It's a warp. The human understanding of this world often comes from the negative emotions associated with it. Confusion, disorientation, sadness, anxiety, fear. In reality, it normally refers to a state that is difficult to describe, or an object or concept that cannot be established. But this is the only word that can describe the scene before Arturia. Desolation, a land of annihilation. What sits behind the material world, the vector of collapse? No visible boundaries, no discernible direction, sound, light, shape, colour. Things that do not belong in the same dimension mix, stack and stretch. The cursed life forms and the environment are symbiotic, even mutual bodies. Annihilation is the only ecology here. Chaos surrounds the Witch King's palace, like sunlight and air surrounding a bubble that could burst with a touch. The Witch King's spire stands in the centre of the palace, with originium crystals growing from its base like moss between the bricks. But such moss covers the entire palace, connecting seemingly irregular spires and other buildings, comprising some vague formation. So originium is here as well then, apparently. Chaos invades the outermost cluster of spires, like a rising layer of mist. Once the mist dissipates, der Weine Autumn and der Deitur des Wesens no longer exists. Clearly the palace is gradually emptying, but its boundaries remain, as if adhering to predetermined rules. Huh. Uh-oh, they're more visible now. Oh, and they're gone. My casters, my musicians, do not resist the storm of lightning and dust. In years past they destroyed the Gaulish fleets, and now they will push back this chaos. Celestial phenomenon and calamities join the symphony, as Originium shapes new connections for you. Your bodies and consciousness will become a part of the instruments, strings, and troop formations. Fill the gaps, reform the lines. Kargerreich is beyond comprehension. Demons cannot be captured. Incompetence is nothing but cowardice. Return all intelligence to the spire for analysis. Confront it, comprehend it, conquer it, in the name of Leithanien. Vibrate the strings of our lives until they break. The King of Casters stands proudly on his throne with all the spires at his command. His founding of a nation occurs simultaneously with the push and pull of war, as it did in Leithanien history. Amid the unending chaos, the Witch King is the only comprehensible order. Your enemy is terrifying, so incomprehensible. Is Leithanien your unwavering cause? Even death cannot end it. Just as Herr Fremont predicted, your palace is suffering an irreversible collapse. Do you regret it? If you hadn't become a tyrant, if the mutinous armies hadn't seized your spire, if death hadn't ended your study of Kargerreich, or Kargerreich, I don't know, would you have had the time to make this palace more stable, unshaken by chaos? Do you ever wonder, if you weren't the Witch King, if you didn't stand on the shoulders of all Leithanien, could you master arts and knowledge beyond the reach of mere mortals? Could you surpass reality itself? Could you build your own spire within Kargerreich? Your questions are meaningless, Sancta. I have no regrets, and I do not wonder. I do not fear monsters, nor do I fear becoming one. Then, Your Majesty, I come in search of confirmation. Confirmation? It has been a long time since someone spoke of me of such things. I seek from you the greatest answer a human heart can seek. A future. An ideal future. Why are you standing there like a fool? Was the blow too hard? Did you have brain damage? What's your excuse? Oh, what a comeback. A rude little goat you are. You saw him too. Did you win? Win? In this ruined place, I could fight that man innumerable times, debate him for innumerable years. But how could I win a debate with an echo? How could I kill a dead man? Then we might as well leave. Leave? You really want to turn and walk away after everything you've suffered on your journey, even as you stand right before the throne? I'm here. I've seen it. The throne is empty, but the spire is still here. This strange, distorted, dangerous space. It still hangs over the heads of countless people. You're the most powerful Lich. Tell me, what should I do? How can we, once again, topple the Genesis Spire? Oh, music stopped. There is only one way. The same way it was done 23 years ago. Change the pipes a bit. What a beautiful sunset. Lazalet, why are you hiding here again? I'd rather not stay with the envoys of the Kurfürsten. They speak so crudely of post-war matters right in front of us as if we're already dead. Herr Fremont says the odds of us surviving the battle are less than 1 in 10. Since the day we were born, every test we've taken has surpassed the expectations of those old men. But the battle with Herkenshorn isn't another test, it's the only chance we have. Then we will seize that chance. We have Herkenshorn's witchcraft, Gaulish technology, and the Lich's blessing with us. We are more perfect, more powerful than anyone else alive. But we can still die. They haven't turned us into immortal war machines. They gave us human bodies and feelings, making us unto them, pushing us towards that end since the beginning. Let's think about something happy, Hildegard. If we really can kill Herkenshorn, what would you want to do? You don't need me to say it, I already know. You want freedom. Every time you pick up with a sword, it's for the same reason. You can't stand those arrogant nobles, the ones who don't even treat us like people. You never could. What about you? You can guess, I'm sure. Who knows me better than you? The sun is about to set. Soon, all the clouds will fade away with the last thread of golden light. We need to destroy the Genesis Horn, quickly. Are you giving up? You conspired with the Lich to use it to obtain Herkenshorn's ultimate power, right? That power, getting it under control would mean granting Leithanien her sharpest sword. But Fremont and I have tried so many different methods to force our way into that space. It's really something. The one who finally managed to open the way was an outsider. Whatever her motives, she has given us a chance. I will not allow the unknown threat to continue looming over Leithanien. Of course I would rather it descend more safely and discreetly, but at least we can end it now. If you've made up your mind, the Liches will show you to the throne of the Witch King. Young Lich, you've been here all along. Hello again. Don't misunderstand me. Leithanien's eternal grace. I'm but a lowly messenger. Kill me, you will gain nothing but a thread scattered on the wind. I have received a message from the Master. What, from Doctor Who? He is presently within the Genesis Horn. Only by joining forces with the Astur authority to once again strike down the power of Herkenshorn will you disperse the dark clouds hanging above Zwillingstürme. Very well then. But the Master also warns that the Genesis Horn is as unstable as you and he both anticipated. Once Herkenshorn's power dissipates, the spire of the Witch King within the void will collapse, losing the barrier between reality and Kagerreich. May cause a more serious problem. Demons? When the final moment comes, your choice will decide the fate of Leithanien, as it ever has. And she's gone. But a single thread. Liches always come and go with the wind. Free enough to be oh so irritating. Michael, I'm here. Find the lich from before, and the young man raised by Fremont. Do what you can to protect the people in the amphitheatre, in the off chance that... There is no off chance. You and Lislet will surely return victorious. Once more, what is our mission? To eliminate any threat to Leithanien and its source. At its source. Good. Because that's what should stand ready. Remember, your signal is my command. When the time comes, if there are no new orders, they will act. Grimace. Go. Yeah. No pressure, kid. Lislet, we should move out too. Both the Liches and the Thurston always talking about the fate of Leithanien. What about our fate? Time and place, Your Majesty. We've been here, atop the tallest spires in Leithanien for over 2 decades. Does Leithanien really belong to us? Or are we still her chosen vessels, carrying the fate of the country on sword and shield? Ah. Guard and defender. Okay. Let's deal with the problem at hand first. That's a sentence I've heard too many times now. Our duet remains tacit, but this is the way we were born, no? So long as we play, we cooperate. That is the mission we have been given. No matter the time, we will always have our understanding. Indeed. I have no doubt that we will once again achieve victory for Leithanien. But sooner or later you will have to face me, to answer me. Hildegard, when we kill Herkulfstorn again... I was trying to read something else. What will you want to do? You're taking such great risks to bring the future to Leithanien, but what is that future? Can these people just stay dead, please? Ah, it's getting louder. You can't kill the echoes. They died a long time ago, and they're emerging from another space. The twins are ready to enter the Genesis Horn. The spatial turbulence will be more intense there. We'll need to use strings to hold the horn, but who knows how long we can drag it. Go. This is something only a lich can do. As for me, I must cover the old man and Ebenholz's retreat. Only by blocking these dark things can the people be safe. That's the only way those who've entered the Genesis Horn can return safely. Do you need me to stitch up your wounds for you? 9. The pain keeps me awake. Well, that's what they all say. They normally collapse afterwards. I nearly forgot. Right, that's what allows you to move undisturbed by the notes. Unlike the other Leithanians in the amphitheatre, who've mostly succumbed to the altered tune of the Goldener's Gazette. That's a good thing too. If they heard the sounds of the remnants emanating from the land of the dead, they'd lose their minds. Ah, love a bit of eldritch horror. The Gazette Watcher and the Twin Empresses are doing what they can to weave melodies and defend its people's sanity. Once the Kaiserin stop playing and enter the Genesis Horn, only the Gazette Watcher will be left. Their arts are very strong, but arts are arts. How can they resist the chaos of the void? The same goes for you, Lessing. Both your body and your will are being consumed. Your blood will run dry. Are you saying that I'm not an immortal lich? So what if you were? It is precisely because we're liches that we understand the absolute nature of chaos. It's like unto boundless knowledge. Then, what should we do? Admit our insignificance and helplessness? Do nothing and wait for a greater power to crush us? Wait for your chaos to devour us? I won't. I'd rather take my life into my own hands and listen to the sound of the last drop of blood falling from my wounds as I collapse. Stubborn. I still remember all those years ago when the Master rescued you from the gendarmerie. We all thought you were minutes from death. You were so small, so thin, so fragile, like you would shatter if touched by a strand of thread. But you survived, covered in scars, with a temperament more and more like the Master. Danke. It was you who helped me survive, just like the Liches have helped Leithanien for so many years. It's too stubborn, yeah. Man's just gaslights himself into thinking he's not got a status effect. The twins are moving. I should find the other Liches. Lessing, my unorthodox little brother, I'll listen for your voice on the wind. I just hope that what I find with my threads won't be your dying breaths. Ah, the fire's back. The dead don't feel pain or exhaustion. They surge endlessly from the cracks between reality and chaos, repeating the last howl they gave before death. Cold? I'm not cold. Fuck cold. Cold ain't shit. Frozen? Who says who? Once the movement is gone, will it be just you making such noise? It sounds truly awful. He slowly unwinds the wrappings on his longsword. Ooh, we get to see it. Well, I mean, we already see it, but still, we get to see it, like, unwrapped. The cloth is long enough to use to cover his ears. Okay. But he doesn't do that. He's too stubborn. After so many years of hard work, Lessing has grown accustomed to focusing all his attention on the edge of his blade. The theme of Leithanien will be rewritten by each and every one of us. And before that is just a battle. Victory or defeat, life or death, none of it bears its consideration. Well, that was a bit of a cliffhanger. It's a good thing we've got more. And under that wrap with another wrap. Like the like that meme or glitch, or I think, or it might have just been an Easter egg in Halo 2, I think, where Master Chief takes the helmet off, but there's just another helmet underneath it. Bum 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 bum. Ugh, this place. Phew, you scared me. Oh yeah, the sunglasses meme as well. Vivian, what are you hiding under the covers for? Are you writing a letter? Tante is about to come. Tante? Is that like aunt? She'll be angry if she sees me awake this late. Who are you writing to? Vati. Oh, it is aunt. Okay. It's funny how uncle is just uncle. But Tante has no similarity to aunt. In the same way that uncle sounds like uncle. I mean, I suppose at the very best it sounds a little bit like auntie, but I mean, Vati, I pestered Tante Cora for 2 weeks before she finally agreed to sneak me out of to a poetry recital at Ludwig's Universität. And I went to tell Vati about it. Oh. I was going to write it tomorrow, but I'm afraid it'll be too late by the time we get back. Oh, okay, so like anti. Oh, okay. I see what you mean now. Not that I have any way to send them. I'll just store them somewhere safe along with all my night novels. But why? Since I decided not to eat candy anymore, I have to put away those childish fantasies too. But didn't you always want to be like those knights? With their shining sword spears sparkling in like the sun? Didn't you want to visit that radiant, glowing country? I mean, she did. But they're too far. It's all just too far away. Muti's not here anymore, and Vati, he's by himself. I'm on my own too. I don't want to be too far from him. I think I'm gonna sleep. I can't handle it anymore. Okay, no worries. Have a good sleep. I asked Tantakora how long it'd take for us to get back to Sturmland from Zwillingstürme. The fastest route would be only 2 days. So if Vati needs me, I can always... But your Vati doesn't even know you stayed behind. De Pate. He'd definitely be mad if he did. But I don't regret my choice. I begged Tantakora to help me stay here in Leithanien instead of following her to the Grand Knight territory like he told me to. Oh, so this is now the version of reality. Even if I have to hide, even if I can never know, even if he can never know, rather. Tanta's helped us so much. My Mutti said she's super strong, super brave, and super gentle. Loud vehicle. But even so, I'm sure she needs people by her side too. She's always been by herself, as can seen Vivi sleeping animation. I haven't seen it myself, but I do know of it. It was mentioned before. I can't do much, but I can at least hold her hand. Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you mean. Viviana, I can't say you've made a bad choice. You're giving up on more things, but at the very least, you'll have fewer regrets. It's Tantakora. I think someone stopped her to talk, rather. I'll go take a look. You should get to bed. A rare event. Has the Twin Empress's favourite actually come here of her own accord to meet with us dregs? Finally made up your mind? All because of the Hochberg girl? Viviana is too sensible for her own good. She takes after both Lucinda and Werner. If I had a daughter myself, I can only hope she'd be as tough and kind-hearted as her. That day in the car, she suddenly begged me to let her stay, and I thought maybe things would work out better this way. Better for Werner and better for me. With her around, I can feel myself gradually calming down this time. When I pass by Carl Schmidt Street, sometimes I feel like I can see the marigolds again, blooming all over the street, as if the flowering season will never end. But her current situation says it all. As a grand Kurfürst as he may have been, he was incapable of saving his own beloved daughter. Leithanien's illness still constrains all those who have sacrificed everything for the country's so-called rebirth. Its terminal rot has lived and thrived, barring the citizens of it from their freedom. Still, I'm elated to hear that her presence here has helped you come to a decision, Concert Master. No, Cora, I didn't come here to... It shouldn't be happening. It seems like it happens in both versions then. So in this timeline, Cora goes full Echo. Well, possibly. Either that or we're just seeing how she got in to begin with. Everything before her eyes dissipates once again. Viviana finds herself on the spiral staircase. Good night, Red. Hope you have a nice sleep. She had thought that an earlier solace would prevent the inevitable, so that tragedies wouldn't have to fall upon the lamentable woman behind the door. Or at the very least, that she could say her goodbyes before it was too late. Countless doors simultaneously open up before her. They line up the succession, meandering towards an unclear horizon. She recalls every Viviana who was behind each of the doors. She sees every candle and its firelight through each of the frames. Her parents, or perhaps she herself, make a different choice each time. Life after life, possibility after possibility, time after time. Sorry. If Mutti and Vati didn't have to hide their love for each other, if everyone had accepted us, then maybe they'd all have blessed my birth instead. Could we have been happy forever? If Vati could manage to rid himself of all his identities and duties, and live a simple, ordinary life with Mutti, could we have gotten a much better ending? If you'd contacted McKee sooner, and used the KGCC's resources to return to Stormland even just a day earlier, could you have at least seen him one last time? Reminds me of the Dark Tower series from Stephen King. Oh, yes, actually, you make a good point there. Unfortunately, I haven't read the books. I've only watched the movie, which apparently isn't actually all that common to the books. I definitely need to read them at some point now, because it does look really interesting. If people could see you as someone ordinary, looked at you without scrutiny, mockery, or pity, if you'd found a more perfect image, or just the right words, if you'd written on the brilliant marigolds, and of the brilliant marigolds, that would have been awkward for you to write on a flower, and gentle silhouettes before you, if you could just be accompanied by books in peace, would it have been less painful? The books are good, even for me, who isn't a great SK fan regularly. Yeah, fair. You deserve a better life than this, Viviana. If there really is one. But why? Why does every last one leave me so disappointed? Viviana hears the sounds of something moving. Doors collapse, distant but clear, like snow losing its grip on a mountaintop. The beginning of an avalanche. Is there such a thing as a second chance? She walks towards the nearest door, a new one, just like every other she has walked into. Will there be a better choice behind this door? A more satisfying resolution? Fewer regrets? With that in mind, she has already opened the door. The Genesis. This zwillingstürme space is extremely unstable. Julia Schuller. Your premonition was correct. I understand that you won't leave, so please, stick to the resonance pipes as much as possible to keep yourself safe. What about you, Herr Executor? I must find Arturia, the sooner the better. Frau Giallo should have already met the person she wanted to. She's a dangerous individual and should come back to me with me to Laterano. But if she truly seeks the Witch King, then she could be in danger right now. Federico turns around and looks into the distance. Ever since Julia activated the retrofitted resonance pipes, the scenery around them has gradually cleared up, both near and far, wherever you are. Sorry. And with that, Arturia's destination is no longer in question. The far edge of his sight stands a gigantic black tower, interwoven with scarlet and surrounded by a cluster of spires he's never seen before. Herr Executor, before we go our separate ways, can you tell me how Jan is doing these days? He has encountered some common growing pains. Loris Borden left him a sum of money, but judging by his own wishes, he may very well leave Leithanien and make a living in another country. That's fine too. That boy's head has always been swimming with ideas. Senora Schuller, you appear to have more questions for me. The Caprone woman quickens her footsteps just slightly as Federico continues at his usual pace, giving her a slight lead. Loris, is he already dead? I never said. Herr Executor, you're clearly the type to dive headfirst into your work without a second thought. Quite an interesting name as it translates to student, but in a young student, meaning German has the different words student, Schüler for normal. So like pupil. Okay, interesting. Students of school and also students for university students. Right. So just a generic like student as opposed to say America, which has those very like specific names like freshman and senior and stuff. It's just student in general. Or maybe not. Student, really? Just student but without the S. But you seem particularly concerned with my affairs. You wouldn't willingly put your mission on hold like this for no reason. Oh, it was student, okay. I was going to say, like, that would be a new level of laziness in terms of language drift. I've heard from Loris how Laterano's notarial hall works and his will. Prior to Das Kaiser Innenfest, Loris Borden died in the sewers near Bodenshof Forest Park, while trying to prevent the Witch King's remains from inciting a revolt. His final message before death was a phone call in which he expressed his hope that someone else would take over the Julia Schuller case. For 15 years he resented the city of Zwillingstürme, loathed his work at the gendarmerie, and treated everything apart from his final battle with indifference. His sole preoccupation, rather, was your case. And as a former citizen of Laterano, his final request can be considered his last will and testament. That said, the case has now been solved, and it is no longer possible to investigate any further. But I did find a letter addressed to you in his residence. I read it only once, but I have it memorized. I can recite it for you if necessary. However, the contents are full of rather emotional expressions, such as, when I decided to get to the bottom of your case, that gross monster summoned me to his office. He slapped me in the face and said, Leithanien expletive omitted, don't you dare think your military success gives you the right to pick fights with everyone rather. Julia, I hate Zwillingstürme. I hate that I'm unable to... Herr Executor, Loris wasn't that sort of man. Julia interrupts Federico's recital. The Loris I know was never the type to call himself a hero or anything like that. But he was the first soldier to set foot on the Witch King's spire. He was the only fool to join the gendarmerie and silently protect the city, despite owning a title. The only officer willing to defy the nobles to protect civilians. He knew things weren't perfect in either Laterano or Leithanien, and that many things needed changing. But someone harbouring hope in their heart will never give in to despair. Never. How many Spire puns is going to be made in chat? I've seen like 4 now. Julia stops in her tracks and begins mumbling to herself. Federico follows suit and looks at her quivering shoulders from behind. He does not move. The young executor listens in silence, attempting to analyze the emotions of her words. Signora Schuller, are you disappointed with Loris Borden? In truth, he was only... I'm not, Herr Executor. I just feel sorry for him. I'm the reason he became like that, right? But I was actually... Oh? A pipe organ suddenly sounds from the distance. That was not a pipe organ! Followed by a huge energy pulse. That was the energy pulse. Federico subconsciously pulls out his gun. Going to accept his proposal. Federico turns back to Julia. Oh. That? Interesting. An insipid mist flits through his hands, and the Caprine woman before his eyes no longer exists. Only nothingness remains, as it always has been. I feel like that actually shocked him. He suddenly recalls the flower from the... Oh god. The Ambrosi. I completely forgot about this name. Back then, he felt that that flower could be the answer to his confusion. Brave of them to write that, even though it is correct. It always feels wrong when you write it. Now, he finds himself in a similar situation, with no one in front of him. The primary difference is that he is still unable to comprehend the truth of the situation and place he is in. A place devoid of laws or solid footing, only endless danger and unknowns. This was Julia Schuller's second death. My preliminary deduction is that she was caught in a wave of abnormal energy caused by a violent impact to the Genesis horn. I will move to verify the precise cause immediately. I don't think you can arrest the twin empresses as they attack the tower, though. In short, this too was an accident. An accident that has once again destroyed her life. And once again, she was unable to react in time. Federico is an outstanding executor. I feel like there was a little bit of emotion in the way he spoke there, to be honest with you. He has been with the Notarial Hall for 7 years, and carries the title of Saint for 2. He calls himself an executor, executioner and an executor. and he's witnessed countless deaths, but this is the first time that he's truly sensed someone's emotions in their final moments. There we go. Oh, there we go. She lived in her own zwillingstürme for an eternity, as she loved and regretted, even even death was unable to shake her belief in life. Simple, but intense. Your silence ails me, Sancta. Julia, the twins created by Leopold and Fremont, are currently attempting to brute force their way into my pavilion. Frail consciousnesses cannot withstand the resulting energy waves. No, it's not just her. Arturia turns around, even though there is nothing else to see. Suddenly, the energy blows away a layer of mist, like a breeze, revealing the breathing, footsteps, joy and grief hidden beneath. These emotions are now... no, they've always been here, all over the pavilion. If a soul is like an instrument, then, at this very moment, she feels the vibration of countless strings, a chorus. I could only see Yulia because of my acquaintance with Loris, and I had only brief contact with her. But there are so many ordinary souls living inside your palace. They exist as information, as walk as Leithaniens, there we go. Form and identity, nothing more. But reminiscing is a luxury I do not allow in my pavilion, Sancta. I believe you came to verify a future. I think I've already got my confirmation, in a way. Why exactly do people develop a self? And how does one become strong enough to go up against an approaching crisis? Or a predestined doom? We all exist within order. Rules and commandments serve as Laterano's anchors and cables, enabling faith to traverse the entire lands and providing a target for the prayers of believers. The law is our piety. I can't remember. Leithanien, however, is the result of Gordonsglass. Through its systems, aesthetics, models, and morals, 10 different regions with no common cultural identity joined together as a unity that has lasted 1,000 years. Experience inherited through generations, laws forged in writing, concepts established by convention. Holy Roman Empire, yeah, pretty much. Although, unlike the Holy Roman Empire, this actually has a tangible way of keeping everyone together. Of course, it's a slight, way of force, but still. Probably the reason they didn't collapse after 1,000 years. These exist a priori, and from it an order is formed. They guide how we should think, speak, and deal with ourselves, as well as others. And so, it becomes our instinct, engraved into our very flesh and blood. But the order has its imperfections. It is rigid, unequal, and indifferent. It separates us. Laterano's order offers redemption to its believers, but the gates of paradise do not open for the Sarkaz. It refuses to provide bread for the empty stomachs or roofs to shelter them from the rain. Aegir and Iberia face the same dangerous ocean, but their respective orders forbid them to keep watch at the same lighthouse. Our order rebels against us. No, our order rebels against us, rather, and we yearn for it still, calling for its perfection. Only order is desired. Laterano's laws hover barely above 100 words, and Leithanien's theme has long been concise. Their minds shallow, their pride false, their senses dull. They regard only the dead as eternal. By this they are timid, yet so also fearless. What is your answer then, Sancta? What do you desire? Emotion. We exist in the present, a river whose running flow is our feelings, our discordant and capricious? I don't know. Reflections of the moment we are living in. Feelings build into emotion, and emotions shape our souls. Our emotions are varied and profound. We are the love, the hatred, the appreciation, and the lament we harbour when these emotions call upon our reflection, and through these encounters we come to understand life itself. They were the torch we wielded to repel the shadow of death long before the birth of laws, religion, politics, or science. We were born as prodigies in utilising our emotions, and thus we are connected. Are you referring to the empathy between the Sancta? Indeed. Language is not without its limit, and what it finds an impossible chasm to leap over. Empathy arches across when it means and when it finds an impossible chasm to leap over, empathy arches across in an emotion's quiver. It's a precious gift to my kin, through which we can read each other's feelings. But it's also utterly unfair. Its creeds are too vague, and its benediction too narrow. Like a rule written only to serve Laterano's order. So you crave a true empathy. You seek an empathy from which, with a wider yet deeper range than what you call emotion, that connects everyone on all lands as one. So, through her music. An interesting delusion, Sancta. I've searched, I've tried, and failed. Would you imagine it? In a dilapidated monastery, Sancta and Sarkaz had been fighting side by side against life's miseries and their own wavering faith, all to protect a hard-earned garden. But when true disaster came knocking at our doors, we found that our kin, who had understood and accepted us for 6 decades, still harboured doubts in their hearts, fissures in their faiths. We were always strangers, nothing more. Emotions are as real as the fragility of our minds. We are good at avoiding pain, experts even, at muting ourselves on it. Conversely, this helps mask our own feebleness. As a result, people cannot feel what others feel. Tragedies will always transpire as long as this barrier remains. And you and your music endeavour to unshackle people by confronting them with their true hearts, just as one would polish an instrument on sandpaper. Yeesh. You attempt to strengthen their souls by guiding them through their regrets. Is this a duty you have long since imposed upon yourself to perform? Yes, Your Majesty. Because to this day, I have been seeking confirmation. I have a future in mind. Continue. In that future, everyone possesses a most powerful soul. Our strengths are unequal, unlike yours, where a tenacious soul can't be shaken by anything in its mortal realm, and even death is powerless to wipe away your struggles, pursuits, and conquests. Others, like those Cora, Yulia, or the souls in the palace, They are unconcerned with... Oh, others are, sorry. They are unconcerned with greater undertakings and simply love the lives they live. But still they dare to fight against the turbulent waves that are engulfing them. Of course, we will persist in our pursuit of happiness, but more importantly, we will no longer avoid pain or be ashamed of it. We as people should suffer, and we will suffer. Our apathy, doubt, confusion, remorse, shame, grief, these complex emotions will no longer leave scars deep in our hearts, nor will they remain untouchable beyond the realm of words. We will no longer shy away from self-expression, nor will we struggle to find ways to do so. We will understand how to live with ourselves, and live strong we will. Sancta, the results of your performances are often unsatisfactory. You should know that for most, emotions are inadequate guidelines, and wholly following one's heart will only lead to dire consequences. Crafty is the curator who, for each house built, has orchestrated a blizzard that brings its ruination. Yet you hope for your future to include everyone. An amusing delusion. No, Your Majesty, it must include everyone. I can see now how she ends up in Rhode Island, or linked to them anyway. Indeed, your existence is an exception to the laws and reasons that govern these great lands. Born from order, yet ruling over it. Your incredible personality, formidable strength, boundless knowledge, adventurous spirit, and subversive insight, all condensed into the essence of one. You have glimpsed beyond the horizon of perception into the black woods of mystery, and even wield the power to traverse the unknown in your hand. But they are also the root of your madness, your downfall. These extraordinary qualities and nigh unattainable achievements built upon them, they cease to exist with your demise. It's a cage trapping us all, and we should not expect any individual to break it open, however powerful its soul is. Therefore, everyone needs a strong soul. They will need the power to empathize. We will be able to share our knowledge, our experiences, our abilities and insights, all via our emotional bonds. Then, there will be no crisis able to undo our ties, no defeat able to wear down our rapport. There will be no truths unrevealable, no pain incomprehensible, no obstruction unsurpassable. Our power comes from our individual strengths. We would be distinctly ourselves, yet as one. And when adversity and the unknown are at the gate, they would find our sanctuary unbreakable, as our collective emotions have formed a wall of steel. Thus, I am here. If a strong soul can truly exist, strong enough to resist a predestined doom, then by no means should I ignore it, the future. Much have you witnessed and experienced, and devoted you are to the power of emotions. You're kind of right, Tor, there. Why then, did you not seek it from yourself, Sancta? Oh. Wouldn't giving everyone empathy make us into a swarm similar to Seaborn? While Turi's viewers... I don't know, not really. The Seaborn are hive mind, which means their entire minds are linked. The Sancta and other fictional races that share empathy are more like the Betazoids from Star Trek. they can't share anything besides empathy, so that you can understand how they're feeling, but that's about it. So, like, for example, I mean, we can do that already. Most of us humans can do that for the most part. We can tell when someone's upset or angry or happy, etc., etc. But being able to share empathy, being able to be empathetic, like a literal empath, would mean that you can have the confidence. You don't just assume that they're happy or sad based on the emotions you can see. You know that's how they feel. But she wanted more empathy than what the Saints already have, which I think, to be honest, implies not so much that she wants more, but rather that the Saints have less than what they could have. So maybe they're not truly empathetic in the same way. They've got a vague idea of how they feel, or they know the way they feel about each other, but it's not fully there, maybe? Or maybe she just means all people, in a sense that she wants full empathy, as in, like, everyone can. They can feel how other people feel, not just Sancta, perhaps. I will say it would be very difficult to do a lot of conflicts that happen in Arknights and the real world, but yeah, but she said Sancta empathy is fake and not deep enough. True, but that's why I'm wondering if it's more so like an actual deficit of Sancta empathy, as in, like, maybe it isn't really true empathatic. Are you reading my mind? You've been doing this from the moment I've arrived at your throne. Is this your performance? A performance that benefits a performer like you, Pilgrim. Everything in my pavilion I command at will. They are mine. Accumulated guilt. Hello. Unreconcilable sorrow. Hello. Hopeless disappointment. Powerful courage. It's special enough to get two things. Endless regret. Unwavering affection. He's sort of done a reverse card on her. There is no performance. No performance will allow such cruelty and arbitrary. You do not come to a common understanding, nor are his joy and sorrow yours. You have thrown open the gate to your mind, and he is the guest and the host. It's interesting that the game is now referring to us as Arturia. Also, for being an overbearing tyrant, WK talks a lot more like a wise old man. I suppose, to be fair, he's had 2 decades to sort of spew in his solitude. Or maybe he's thinking, thank God I don't have to be a tyrant anymore, sort of thing. If he really did make the decision to be a tyrant because he felt it was necessary. Not that that excuses what he does, but, like, you know, if that was his idea, then maybe he's just as happy to not be when he doesn't need to be. Leithanien history has recorded how the Witch King reformed and rearranged his people, his orchestra and army. Disobedience is not tolerated nor possible. Sancta, if emotions had forms, by all rights you should be the fullest individual I have ever met. But I sense in you nothing. Why? Because you yourself, as a mirror, reflected the emotions of others. 9. You do not see and tell, you receive. You are a receptacle whose content is overflowing with the emotions of others, with no room for your own. You feel what they feel, but at the same time feel nothing. I think if he wasn't a ruler, he would be someone people admired. Yeah, I think that's also kind of what Arturia mentioned. I think it was Arturia anyway. Like, if you hadn't been a tyrant, if you hadn't been a king, etc., etc., etc. His drive is insane. Yeah. You undo the knots of others while further tightening yours. A state that resembles only chaos. Get yeeted into the water. Arturia feels a pair of hands on her. They stretch into the lake bed of her consciousness, and do not stop there, but stir up the mud at the bottom, arriving at the void in the very depths. Suffocation resembles a rushing river. Rushing river, okay. Scrubbing every nook and cranny of her consciousness as it thoroughly engulfs her within. I see. I saw your only truth. The Witch King remains silent for a long time as he stares at the person before his throne. Arturia has never felt her heart beat as fast as it is now. Sancta, the future you describe does have its value. Perhaps it will find its place in the river of time. However, you are the one person furthest from your utopia. If you are just a receptacle, just a mirror, if you cannot even see the reality you have neglected, then you have reached your end before your path is yet to reach its. Your Majesty. Here's Johnny! Your audience is over, Sancta. Actually, I can kind of imagine Grimace just bashing a hole through the door with a sword and just looking in like, grrr. She seems like the thought that would do that. Look at the eyes. They seem the same, unless it was Arturia you meant. They're a bit red, but I think they always were red. Your audience is over, Sancta. Your request I will not answer. Oh, there they go. He got triggered. Now, bear witness to my end. Ooh. New guests at my pavilion. Very well, come forward, twins. I recognize you both. At first, a pipe organ hums in the distance, its sound reaching the throne loud and clear. A gentle shade of gold follows, like a splotch of ink, of rich ink, soaking into view. The colour climbs over the palace walls and before melting the pavilion down. Brilliant rays of light dye the clouds, orate, I don't know. And Zwillingstürme's glowing sunset illuminates the black spire that had long ceased to exist. You truly are attached to that throne, Herkuleshorn. 23 years ago, when Hildegard and I made our way here, you were sitting on it just as you are now. Summoned here late at night by a creed, your subjects crawled beneath the steps as your melody shredded their souls away. Not daring to make one move, you were disinclined to even take notice of them. Judging by your attire, you have both proclaimed yourself the Kaiserinnen of Leithanien. The blades painstakingly forged by the nobles are now pointing back at them, freshly resharpened. How amusing. I won't deny you. Elizabeth and I were born from your arts. Our flesh and blood, as well as our power, were born from the nobles. Nobles is boring ambition. Indeed, we are only creations. But precisely because of that, we can be loyal only to Leithanien. Answer then, how did you serve the Leithanien you were devoted to? Hildegard and I do not judge ourselves by our merits, Herkenthorn. But at the very least, when the people of Zwillingstürme lift their heads, they should be able to see a brilliant sunset instead of dark clouds brimming with a metallic tinge of blood. That is our dream, and what we work towards. How naive. Do you wish to continue indulging yourselves in the illusions you weaved and enshrouding in your minds from the truth? Humanity is shackled by repulsive rules. Our legs cannot walk, our eyes cannot see. What kind of future can you possibly bestow to Leithanien given your wayward minds and narrow sights? Is the Witch King who nearly drove Leithanien to the brink actually rebuking us for our incompetence in giving her a future? Lazaret, we don't have much time. We've performed together on every one of the 23 celebrations of Leithanien's birth, and your skills have never faltered. I hope you can put the same trust in your combat practice. You and Leithanien have my shield, Hildegard. Oh! Hey, I was right, Guards and Defender. Also, just awesome. Jesus Christ, look at her! She's a badass, and she's also just really badass there with the massive fucking shield. He's either testing their resolve, or he's deliberately just looking down on them. But given the way he's been talking, I'm thinking he's deliberately testing them. I also wonder if he did that back in the beginning as well. Because I don't think they ever really explained how much he fought back against them. I assumed he did. It did make it sound as if it was the servant that caused everything to collapse, but still, like, I wonder if the same sort of thing happened before. I admire your experience, courage, and achievements, Herkenthorn. You overthrew prejudice and the old order. Well, not really. Did you see what they did to the infected? More firmly entrenched than the spires are now, and brought opportunity to every Leithanien. Or was it the other way around? Did the infected stuff happen before him? Oh, I can't remember now. I feel like it was his rule that happened, though. You gave the nation unprecedented vitality, and were to be revered as the greatest monarch in history. But then you pushed the country into war, erected even more terrifying spires, and inflicted suffering 100 times more painful to the very people you had given hope to. You were ruined by your own desires. Herkenthorn, our widespread standards, our harmonious melodies, and our arts and morals make Leithanien what she is. But you rocked her foundations, undermined her survival, and made her your own vassal. I do feel like they've done this before, I will admit. Also, I've noticed that her shield, and then she makes a shield for Hildegard separately, because they're a little bit apart. Or at least it looks like that anyway. It looks like she's shielding herself and her separately, which would be an interesting skill, you know, hint hint, nudge nudge. Have something like that in there where they can shield other allies. Anyway, or maybe there is already an operator that does that, I don't know. Your meddling turns the entire country into a resource to be exploited, and it is only righteous that everything you have explored or mastered belongs to Leithanien. Roberta does. Okay. Oh, right, yeah, I remember something like that. I meant more so in terms of defenders, though. Because I know there's defenders that heal people, and I know there's defenders that give aggro or shield themselves. Nyan S3. Okay. So we're here to retrieve it. A spire that remains only as a shadow should not exist in the first place. To think it actually lingered over Leithanien these past 23 years. What did you call it earlier? Your pavilion? A palace? No matter. Today will be your last, and this place shall serve as your final grave. Oh, jeez. Originium clusters surged from thin air, first hitting Grimish's blades before the fragments splashed onto Elizabeth's shield. Black and red unite into one, a dazzling gold and intense purple. Their arts are condensed into to their very limits, like unchangeable, primitive blocks of colour. They collide but cannot blend into each other, and only splash before the throne, seizing every inch of space. An ear-splitting rhythm accompanies the explosion of colours. Their weapons, originally instruments, perform two movements in two completely different styles at the same time and place. Oh, you see the notes as well. Brass, woodwinds, strings, percussion, keyboards, and even bell trees, as well as death whistles. Keyboards? Someone brought out the electric instruments as well. The rusty reeds beneath Sargon's golden sands, the flame-reefed amber under the sludge of the black flow, the rootless flowers buried deep in the frost-bound soil of Sami, and the boundless chaos itself in this Kagerake. Oh, aren't these all the different demon stuff? A cosmos exists with its voice within the Witch King's melody. Notes are woven, conducted, and played by his hand. Notes to sing a melody of the Witch King. Notes to sing a melody of the Witch King. So, yes, it is the Immaterium. This mortal realm will never again know a symphony this clamorous, harsh, and illogical, yet so also spectacular, majestic, and striking. Remember how I asked if you figured out where Kagerake was? I mean, I still don't know where it is in relation to Arknights. I keep saying it's like the warp. I did figure it was something demon-y when it was mentioned before, both in the game and chat, but I still don't know where, if anywhere, it is. I'm guessing it's just where the demons come from and where they seep out into the real world. So, yes, it is a warp then. Did I read this bit? Yeah, I did. Listelet and Grimace's duet is so simple in comparison. The notes gently rise and sharply fall, with the dignified and imposing pipe organ, resembling a castle encircled by mountains, while the ethereal violin is like a waterfall pouring by the citadel. So they are basically just having a music battle right now. The sound of water splashing onto rock is still clearly audible in the room furthest from the waterfall, but even in the closest, it does not sound so noisy. The two act like one, their movements as harmonious as if they had never split. Well, yeah, but given that music is hard, I know, but it's still funny to imagine it as like a rap battle or something. The symphonies sing a war song. 2 generations of Leithanien Kaisers fight before the throne, the entire pavilion, both their sand table and military formation. History bends and rewinds at this moment. Gaul's flagship crosses the river valley under Corsica First's lead. Soldiers bumping shoulders as they form a thick cloud and tear apart Sturmland's Iron Curtain light defense line. And then Herkumshorn's silhouette introduces its reign at the pinnacle. He stands atop the spire, heaven and earth at his beck and call. The elements, thunderbolts and sandstorms are all at his disposal. To swallow everything. Under the omnipresent dust clouds of blood, Leithanien and Grimace movements are unremarkable. They sneak into Leithanien under the cover of night, and with a feint from the Kurfürsten's coalition army, and make a beeline for the spire. The spire opens its doors, welcoming its visitors. The unsuspecting spire casters rush into formation, and one by one turn into the red leaves of late autumn. Shield and sword shatter the Genesis spire, just like that night 23 years ago. We are still on the first part of this stage, and it already feels like it's come to its conclusion. My pavilion and everything in it are disintegrating, dying. The pavilion, this imperishable hold, is not my creation, nor the work of anyone else. It is the accumulation of mankind's immeasurable sacrifices. It is the warp. Technology, art, evolution, experience, every choice, every regret, every affection, and every resentment, every hope and every despair. Every thought and every prayer, the birth and death of every civilization, everything remembered and everything forgotten. The pavilion is humanity. The pavilion is our will. Through annihilation, the will has taken form, and from chaos the order was given birth. A will true to reveal the origin, a will firm to conquer the source. If this is the warp, the Witch King, as the strongest and wisest human, would be the Emperor. I mean, like I said, the Emperor of Man did put a part of himself into the warp in order to maintain the Astronomicon? Is that what it's called? So, I mean, he's technically done that same thing, if not for his own benefit, as opposed to... It's kind of funny. And the Emperor of Man was also no peaceful saint. Exactly. But he did also originally start out by wanting, like, the good stuff that was mentioned that the Witch King apparently wanted when he started out as well. So it's like, it's kind of weird. There definitely are some similarities, whether deliberate or not. I'm not going to comment on that, but it's just it's kind of interesting seeing seeing some of the similarities here, be it coincidental or not. A will true to reveal the origin, a will firm to conquer the source. Going by if the Emperor had text to speech, it wasn't his own fault to end up like this. No, it wasn't. I don't know. It was something like a mix of self-sacrifice and, but it wouldn't have happened if something didn't happen. Like, it was weird. It was from a betrayal, I think. I think the Horus Heresy caused it. I'm not sure. I might be mixing things up though, so ignore me. Originium. The beginning of annihilation and the source of chaos were both mine to wield, and thus I compelled Originium to reveal the nature of its being. Oh? To present the fact of its origin. Oh? But I became aware that no matter how Originium grows, overwrites, recreates, it speaks the same truth, a truth laid bare right before our eyes all along. It says the creator who was at the source of making it was also a creation. It says the dominator reigned long before its domain came to exist. It says hope is lost and eternity is no more. Was referring more to people turning him into a god religion. Oh yeah, no, that wasn't his intention. He hated the idea, actually. Like, canonically, he hated the idea. And what truth did I obtain but heavier chains and more ruthless resolve at the origin, the root of all creation? Undeniable as the silence of death, unextinguishable as the light of stars. Cruel was the maker, vile was the maker, sly was the maker. Who was the maker? By his hands our determination was shattered, but not annulled, maimed, but not overthrown. I swear, if it turns out we made it, considering we know that both the Doctor and Calcic came from that era, I wouldn't actually be somewhat surprised if it turned out that the Doctor actually created Originium, because it's already been established that Originium was created, like even before this. So it would be kind of interesting if it turns out the Doctor made it, and had since been working on trying to stop it. That would be an interesting thing, because it wouldn't be the first time we've seen characters who've made a mistake and then spend their life trying to fix that mistake. It forged our sharpest swords, it built our toughest prisons. The truth is laid bare for all to see, but how can a seeker challenge the truth with their volition and sanity splintered? Let the truth be seen by all eyes, let the reason be heard to all ears. Your determination has guided you to my pavilion, more will follow. Yeah, Friston said it was created in a hurry. Exactly, which means if you make it in a hurry, that means you probably don't know how to stop it, because you didn't plan that far ahead. What if it wasn't a mistake and we were actually the bad guys? Well, that is somewhat hinted at in Arknights, with the whole Ghost of Babel. We were apparently not a particularly nice person. You will see me in a nightmare, a traitor to freedom, a tyrant. But if the Genesis Spire has failed to reach the boundary of this thrust, with its thrust, then a pioneer must be there to step foot on a place beyond space and time. It would also be kind of interesting if the demons turn out to be that whole threat from above, considering with the fact that we still actually don't know what caused that. I mean, I'd say an entrance from the warp would technically be the same. Anyway, if the root of all creation poses nothing but shackles, then we shall be the hands holding its chains. If the Creator has willed the extinction of his creation, then we shall be the bell that to toll his demise. Void cannot and will not be the truth. I will never allow it, nor will I excuse it. Hearken well Herculeshorn's ultimate vision, his sin, his final will. The Creator must perish. I see that your power has grown since our last meeting, twins. The portion of Herculeshorn which he discarded long ago is standing before him. But you have perceived it not yourselves, and not known, and known not freedom. You have relinquished humanity. Hello, cat. I had hoped Leithanien's sword and shield to be more than weapons. Heed my audience. You have come before the throne to seek an answer, to pass down a verdict. Only a man's answer can sate his kin. Only a monarch's verdict can convict his equals. If you succeed, if you stand fast till the very end, you must see what I didn't, and be what I wasn't. How you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Hope may be gone. Eternity may be lost. Their death? Mark, but the end... Their death? Is that supposed to just be death? The death mark but the end of Herculeshorn, a monarch's downfall. Leithanien shall stand. Whose light will outshine the tallest beacon of hope. Leithanien shall live, whose name will outlast the longest river of time. Dearth, lack of, scarcity. Oh, okay. Oh wait, I have heard of dearth before. I just rarely ever hear it. Ah, right. Ah! Jesus. Ah! Fucking stop! He sees a rhapsody. A rhapsody. There we go. He roars a fanfare. He demands a concerto. Now thunders have joined the chorus. Jeez. And that was only the first part. And silence. That room doesn't seem very pet friendly. Now to the long part. Oh. The Alethea sits with her legs crossed, her back against a desk. She places a pillow on her knees and spreads open a book upon it, the candlelight illuminating her drooping head. The girl reads in undisturbed silence. Then she raises her head from the page to meet Viviana's gaze. You don't seem very surprised to see me, Vivian. I saw your shadow in the doorway and knew it was you. Yeah, you've spent so long observing the shadows in this tiny room, lit only by candlelight. What are you reading? The Last Night. I'm currently at the third to last chapter. Behind the nameless night is a huge and lonely lighthouse. The relentless waves push him at his steed Roncinante back. How do you know what happened during the event? But they roar as one, and towards the huge waves as dark as night. They charge. No spoilers, please. You'll spend a night reading that paragraph over and over again, until you fall asleep on the floor, with the pillow in your arms, until Mutti returned in the middle of the night to blow out the candles. Huh? How did you know? Of course she knows. The room, the posture, the book. This is a memory after all. Viviana retreats into the doorway. Are you leaving? I'm sorry, Vivian. I have questions about my life, and I need to look for the answers. Maybe, just maybe, there's still time to open one last door. How many have you opened already? More than 100? I've already lost count. I just want to find a better possibility. Oh, and what if you still can't find one? Is better something clearly defined? Like a math problem? In those doors you entered, maybe Mutti and Vati got to live in peace together for longer, without anyone disturbing them. Or maybe Mutti left us a few years later than she did. If you think about it, how do you know you haven't already come across a better answer? So why do you still carry so much regret? How can you be sure you'll ever find the one in the first place? And what happens even if you do? It won't change your past. What's meant to happen has already happened. But he always said that if he'd waited at Marigold Alley for just 10 more minutes, maybe he could have met with Mutti and everything would have turned out differently. A pity fate does not afford us the chance to start over. But even if he did meet her, he'd still have to leave anyway, right? The story wouldn't change in any way, aside from giving Mutti one last chance to cry and say goodbye. Or maybe you're actually hoping you won't find a better answer. Because then you could tell yourself that this was the best of all possible worlds. I just don't get it. Aren't you thinking the same way that Vati did? Vivian... I'm going back to my book. You're disappointed, aren't you? You should go. There's still time to open the next door. The sound of collapse approaches. Viviana turns around, the line of doors collapsing in succession scores in her eyes, like dominoes toppling into one another, or the fireworks in her memories going off all night long. The rumbles travel from afar, reaching the tallest spire in Sturmland. Her father seldom comes here. As a Kurfürst, he has to receive an endless line of visitors on festival nights. And her maid, mother, will be busy serving them until the early hours of the morning. He would huddle in the corner of a room, just like now, and shield the sounds outside with books. Once the waves washed away, once glory and life together faded, the world and all its beings fell from zenith to nadir, becoming dust. Once the forge belched its flames, once catastrophe descended, once families and old friends alike forsook the soul. The last night upon this great land, all alone, faced the swells as dark as night and began to charge. Back then, she had yearned for this so much, so full of courage. She had told herself not to be weak, to imagine herself as a knight, Viviana the knight. A true knight is unafraid of disaster or hardship. The collapse is clearly visible, its ruin right before her eyes. An inexpressible sense of danger strikes Viviana in her heart. She suddenly feels a strong premonition that the collapsing doors are not simply a manifestation of her repeated failures. If this tiny room were to be swallowed up, something truly would be wiped away. Something would be lost forever. Oh, the thing fell. Viviana? When the knight charged toward the endless waves, did you imagine that he was trying to overcome the entire world? No. Ooh. Ooh. This is awesome. I won't leave. Viviana turns around, protecting the little girl with her own body. I don't even know what's really going on, ever since I began climbing that spiral staircase. Maybe this was something everyone goes through when they come to the Genesis Horn. To be tightly bound by the knots deep in their hearts, to lose themselves in a whirlpool of chaos, becoming one with it. Vivian, what do I say to you? Or rather, what do I say to myself? The light of a candle is dim, and its flame will always flicker at the whims of the night wind. There will always be filth coming at you and regrets you can't revoke. The bafflement of finding and grief of losing will seek to swamp you over. But you must believe the stories you once yearned for are not at all the legends or symbols. You've seen for yourself a radiance that can light up the entire land, a light that does not flicker. We know who she's talking about. Even when no one is walking a path it illuminates. Maybe you yourself are not that radiant light, but you too have once drawn your blaze to protect it. Never forget this, Viviana Drost. You are a knight. The collapse arrives, and darkness swallows her in an instant. Compared to the last knight, whose nemesis was the ocean beneath the sky and above him. Oh, and the sky above him. She knows nothing about her enemy's identity. She suddenly finds herself unable to feel the sword in her hand, nor can she light a candle. Fear, suffocation, as the ocean and raging as... Oh, suffocating as the ocean and raging as a tide, instantly scours her to the point of numbness. Or is that scores? I'm not sure. But soon she feels calmed, soothed, and relaxed somehow. Dread and sorrow no longer drown her, because bit by bit the waves are no more. Just what is it in those collapsed doors and their cracks that is devouring her emotions? Countless images, real and fake, intertwine, binding Viviana into a strange yet soft cocoon. What must she hold on to? What can she hold on to? A dazzling light fills up her vision. She has come to a stark realization. Tested by a dark, bitter and thorny path, and scored in history by its legend. A knight's sword staff that even time itself can never wear away. Here and now, it shines in the palm of her hand. Ooh. Ooh. She tightens her grip on the weapon in her hand. The knight now wields her sword staff and cleaves it at the darkness ahead. Wait, is that the sword staff? Its radiance intensifies. It's the sword staff. And resplendent gold builds it all, delivering its radiance towards the end of time and space. Take a shot every single time they say radiance. Gone are the spiral staircase and the doors. Viviana looks down at her empty hands, betraying the gritty sensation that felt so real just now. She shuts her eyes, reconstructing in her mind the last thing she had seen within the darkness. Malevolent spirits take the form of indescribable sounds, lights, shapes, and colours, together forming chaos itself. Perceiving through it all was the sword staff, resplendent and glorious. I was holding on to a projection of it. Their Majesties. No, more terrifying calamities in the chaos outside the Genesis Horn will befall this place. This place must not fall to ruin. Fremont? The twins failed, yet you have come to conclude my concert at the end. This music. Interesting. You have been a recapitulation in my ascension and downfall. Leave. The pavilion is disintegrating. Huh. Or are you here for your phylactery? Your achievement in Kargerreich would be enough to earn the respect and fear of the people, yet your attitude remains as loathsome as ever. Should I be grateful that you milked it for all it's worth? Yeah. I've never seen you so reluctant, Herkenthorn. But I must have it back. It will have a role to play in Kasdel's survival. I've dragged this on for far too long. So many years have come and gone. The Lich King's court should have left Leithanien ages ago. Exile. You had the chance to perform this witchcraft long ago, in that secret room in Ludwig's Universität. How long has it been, as they count time outside? 130 years or so. In the next moment, the belated witchcraft crosses both the protracted span of time and the divergent paths of its champions to be cast once more. Heavy, grizzled rain falls upwards. Kargerreich seems to be flipped over by its stream of flow. And the exile, which has taken his full effort to perform, is soft and permeated with an unusual beauty. You have never made yourself a greater fool, Fremont. Phylacteries are a knot you liches tie inside the veil. One that resonates with your life. It's impossible for you to not feel its presence. Raindrops cluster into strings, dancing in the void to the rhythm of Fremont's breathing. His breaths are nothing unusual, but long-lost abundance of emotions wells up from the depths of his soul. Fremont casually touches his pocket, only to discover that his lost key has been lying quietly there, within reach all along. Did I not already return it to you long ago? Fremont, the phylactery is a constant, a keystone upon which liches accumulate their time. You are always one step ahead of death. I am not. In fact, a fact you refuse to acknowledge. Why? The moment the entire space is soaked, the Lich's strings finally envelop the Witch King, embracing, entangling, almost forming a coffin-like shape. You have no words for me but farewells at this moment. Tell me, Fremont, my dearest friend, why is the spire still lacking? The age-indifferent Lich merely stands before the empty space without a hint of expression on his face. The traces of the exile scatter, and the threads feel not the Witch King's presence, as if the ferocious Caprine with the twisted horns had never existed in the first place. Only his final murmur remains in the air, as weighty as an interrogation, as light as a sigh of a king. She does not know when it happened, but Arturia finds herself standing before the spire. She listens in a daze. There is no one able to answer her question, and she sighs, and the sighs are silenced. So Lapland works against the Sire Kings. Okay, that's good to know. So those were your parting words and your answer. Henceforth, Leithanien will never again have a Witch King. So this is where you were, Arturia. Federico. Federico looks up and sees the gigantic black spire gradually lose its shape and colour before his eyes, as its faded originium clusters dissipate into vestiges. Even the Witch King, known far and wide as history's most powerful soul, was unable to resist his inevitable demise. Oh, and she just disappears. Freeze. Federico lifts his gun. Leithanien's twin empresses have already intervened directly, and the overall impact of this case has far exceeded the initial risk assessment of the mission. Once this is concluded, I will contact Pope Evangelista the 11th as soon as possible. I could have swore he was the 9th. Until then, your freedom will be restricted until we can return to Laterano. No. Federico has heard her answer. The distant relative he knows all too well does not engage in her usual meaningless push and pull of emotional logic and kinship. She simply refuses wearily and walks towards him. You can pull the trigger now, Federico. Right this very moment, in the chaos known as Kargarake, you're the only one before my eyes, and there is no one I can perform for. I've lost my music, I won't run, and I can't play any games either. There are holes in your logic, Arturia. Arturia walks straight past him, as if she did not hear him at all. The Genesis Spire is disintegrating. Perko's horn is dead, so naturally the bubble he was bracing will also burst. Is he really no longer here? You don't believe your own eyes? Even after dropping that attitude of yours not so long ago. So in the end, Grimace and Lizelette were still the only ones who could kill him. Wonderful. You only sound mildly disappointed this time. One day you'll look back on today and realise with even more clarity just how fortunate you were to turn away from the fate you lay before you. Oh god, there's 3 of them again. Something dangles down from Fremont's robe. No, put it away. Suddenly, Ebenholz realises Fremont's shadow has remained in place, even as the man himself stepped closer. That was by far the worst phrasing I have ever heard in this entire game. They could have written it any better. Like, that is on par with how Rowling would always use the word ejaculate for dialogue. Like, it was that bad. The shadow wraps around the crumbling throne, stretching all the way along the steps before gradually coiling around the entire spire. Your shadow. My shadow? Don't let your eyes deceive you. What you see are my threads, my destiny, the essence of my being. You are the second Leithanien besides Herkenthorn to perceive my true form. Are you using your life threads to hold up the collapsing space? But aren't they more important than flesh and blood to you liches? Herkenthorn did a lot of disgraceful things, but he was right about one thing. Annihilation is almost upon us. If we let Kargerite leak out and deep fry Leithanien into a cavity of nothingness, we'll all be gone, lich or not. So, run, little lamb. This place can't hold the living for much longer. Leave this tomb quickly, lest death catches up to you. Damn it, was I right about him self-sacrificing in order to fix everything? Shadows crawl all over the old lich's body. Shades of black instantly split into countless threads. They fly toward every falling piece of debris and crack in the void. But the vibrations still intensify. It's too late. The collapse is right before us. Can it rain in this space too? Ah, these are Herr Fremont's threads. He's always kept himself so neat and tidy, unlike other liches. I've never seen him grow so many threads. The Genesis Horn can no longer support this place. We need to return to reality before this place falls completely apart. Then we'll need to find a way out first. A brilliant ray of arts. Oh! Yeah, I was about to say, Viviana is going to be like a lighthouse for them. Empress's voice, Viviana Drost. I should have fought alongside your majesties. Please forgive me for my tardiness. It's you. Viviana, your light is somewhat brighter than before. Yes, she remembered that time with her girlfriend. Anyway, that's because I saw true darkness. I was just walking along an endless spiral staircase, witnessing the collapse of one possible reality after another, and was almost swallowed by the chaos. After that, at some point, I caught a glimpse into the darkness and I haven't the slightest idea what I saw. Perhaps it was the deepest of dreads, the largest of voids, complete disarray and a calamity we cannot comprehend, the warp. They lay dormant within the chaos, and I felt their gaze upon me. Grimace, Lizelette, the enemy is advancing like a blitz. They are about to invade everything known to us. But did she know about her girlfriend's other two girlfriends? Well, I mean, they were there in that event. I can't remember if she met them, though. I can't feel the thread anymore. Oh, no, no, no. The threads are all vibrating together. They're so intense, I can't make out the one connected to the Genesis Horn. Lessing! Lessing! Frau Ermengarde, Herr Mayor is over here. He shouldn't have. I'm not dead yet. Wait, is that Mayor? I forgot, actually. Phew, my threads are a mess. It's hard to sense you, even at this distance. And the Professor, we were still connected earlier. The other liches and I were pulling on reality from our side, while he was doing the same to the Genesis Horn on his end. It wasn't easy, but we managed to achieve a balance. Oh, interesting. But things are looking bad now. It's all gone wrong. They're no longer making any noise. They're not echoes. 9. It's not just the dead. Whoa. Whoa, no, 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 we left that area. No, no glitches in the real world, please. Thank you very much. The music, it stopped. Music stopped, yeah. Jazz, classical music stopped. The Witch King, the Twin Empresses. Stromland, Martha. The whole theatre has fallen silent. Every piece of music, every sound has vanished. It is as if someone had used the largest scale silence in arts ever cast. Those who lost control of themselves in the chaotic noise have now lost their surface-level agitation. Pain, anger, and other intense emotions fade from their faces, replaced by deep fear. I feel like the echoes are going to suddenly turn into demons now. But this dread does not last long. Instead, it expands into a blank space, and at its peak, a void. Something seeps out of the void. The Honkai, sorry. Something that's eroding and annihilating everything. Order collapses. Chaos wishes to tarry, but cannot. The calamity within the void. The vacuum that corrodes all existence. Its eyes have noticed us. And no wonder our threads couldn't stabilize the space on both sides. What's coming for us? It sure would be nice if our enemies were tangible. The scariest part is that they might not even appear. I do love the cosmic horror that they made with these demons. I don't even know if I've seen one yet. I might have if I read the preludes to IS4, but still. Sounds more like a Stellaron disaster, someone called... True, I was thinking of the original Honkai, but that also works. The scariest part is that they might not even appear. Kagarite gets its name from its emptiness. It's just a void. So, place with nothing at all, conversely invading our reality. What do you think will happen? We need to get the old man and the others out right away. Then figure out a way to block the passage. Don't worry, you see them in IS4. I feel like I haven't actually ever gotten far enough in IS4 to see them. It's a weird thing. You are small. No! Okay, fine, I'll make myself small. Yeah. I have? I don't remember seeing them. They are in the first map. Huh? I don't remember fighting them. Are they the drone things? You know, the floating sphere stuff? I know they're collapsals, I just don't remember seeing them. Speedy zombies. Oh. Drones are the guys with a black hole in their face. Oh, I somehow didn't realise. Why do you look drunk? Oh, I was scratching my face, so it probably messed with the thingy. Ermengarde, can you and the old man still hear each other? We're cutting it close. In all this mess, I need time to find the end of the right threads connecting our two sides. But they'll never get out without it. Did they fail? Grimace failed. That's impossible. Get back here. Think, fool, think. I thought I said twink to begin with. That was really weird. Probably because of Cat. I blame Cat because he said it earlier. About what's concerning you the most. What's concerning you most? Grimace, I can't... She should have given you a final order. If she doesn't come back, if time runs out and the Gesetzwacher don't receive a new order, I see. Their last resort will be to annihilate Zwillingstürme. For once, I agree with her choice. It's one thing if we all die here, but we mustn't let Leithanien and everyone else outside the country die with us. Wait, they're not moved just now. The people inside haven't given up. Let's hold on just a bit longer. Ermengarde, does this not count as a thread between the two sides? It'll have to. I'm trying my best, and if the connection stabilizes, the Professor and I might be able to focus on the arts cast and the arts cast on the knot and to stabilize the passage. We're counting on you, Ebenholz. Speak of the devil, I can feel Lessing and the others. They're close. And you think that's a good thing? Kalgarreich and reality are once again drawing near, like two bubbles stacked on top of one another. No, more like a bubble balanced on the tip of a needle. Even the slightest bit of get closer and the bubble will burst. It almost gives me a bit of antimatter vibes, I must admit. So if I pull on the knot and move further away, will you and Ermengarde be able to stabilize the passage? Stay away from the edge of the bubble. Scheiße, little lamb. You're going to get yourself caught in the void. The knot trembles in his hand. Ebenholz can feel the hand gripping the other end. A hand already numb from too much time spent swinging a sword. His strength spent, his arts nearly exhausted, his wounds no longer bleed, and his pain gradually blurs. His duty and his will remain seated deep within his brain, pulsing tenaciously. Such concepts are difficult to describe after language itself has collapsed. Why did we come here? Why have we been fighting? Why are we born and why would we die? The void greets him. There is no path either forward or out, only nothingness to meet. Ebenholz is falling. And at the end of his fall, there will be nothing at all. Why do we breathe? Are we human or are we dancer? Bright. No, there is something. Yeah, a lot bright is what it is. A warm shade of white. I wouldn't say that's warm. Emanating a radiant, oh, take another shot, yet gentle glow. Ebenholz suddenly realizes that while he didn't have time to find the cello-playing sancta, he has found the answer. The emotions and memories he shared with him were not bestowed upon them by any person, arts, or even fate itself. The most beautiful part, right there with him, has always belonged only to them. A smile, a piece of music, a touch of hope. I don't know why that made me think of Pirates of the Caribbean with that woman who goes, a touch of destiny. Fate will always be snatching things away from us, but fortunately I still retain the ability to love and hate. Zwillingstürme's glowing sunset, ardent marigolds in bloom, a child with eyes glistening like a lake, and her gentle parents. I love the scenery and the people I cannot see. They illuminate me, dispelling the darkness obscuring the eyes of many others. But I also hate it. I hate how brief the flowing season is, and the formless wheels constricting everything I love. My child, your brows have been knitted ever since you returned to Leithanien. You asked me, Where is the new order? Can you guarantee it will be better than yesterday or today? There is no way I can answer you, so I just decide to do as I have. Love means responsibility, and hate will likewise attract even more. You must take responsibility for the things you have changed, and have yet to change. My child, my friend, if you love, if you hate, then you will bear far more than you can imagine. I doubt. Hello. You again. Is doubt a form of cowardice or bravery? If cowardice, then why did I mix the flesh and blood of those monsters into our sacramental bread and wine, willing to place my hopes in a different faith? If bravery, then why did I retract my hand? Did the vivid and hideous living tissues frighten me at the very last moment? For 60 years I could not see that elusive paradise, while my life fell apart before my eyes. I do not want to pray, but it is all I can do. I wrote the laws, and who ensures their purity and integrity? I ask my faith, and it stays silent. I dare not say that I've already rid myself of the delusions embedded in the depths of my mind. No, I still harbour doubts. The monastery gets further and further away, and I find a handful of seeds in the folds of my robe. Oh, Clement, my son, I will find them a patch of moist soil, even if I were to die on the road. I doubt our laws, question my cowardice, suspect my bravery, and doubt pushes me forward. Norris? Yeah. Honestly, I hate alcohol, but suddenly I found myself unable to live without it. It's been a long time since Yulia's death. 3 years? 5? Twice in my life I have run away. The so-called holy city of Laterano is not as perfect as it seems. The sweetness and noise in the air masks the inequality beneath. The difference between Liberia and Sancta seemingly not worth discussing. I was still young when I came to Leithanien. The dark clouds I saw were a stark contrast to the white walls of Laterano. Countless died tragic under the Witch King's regime. I was the first soldier to set foot in the Witch King's spire, but I never once believed that his defeat would usher in a new era for Leithanien. Yulia was wrong. I've always been pessimistic. Disappointment makes me sober. Disappointment compels me to look for a few good things to protect. But in the end, I reached a compromise with my disappointment, and ended up like this. If souls truly have a final destination, then I most probably won't be going to that same place as her. I mean, that was technically true, when you think about it, seeing as we didn't see him there. But surely I've protected at least a few people at the very end. I want to ask Head Executor, Yulia, and myself, do I still count as a hero? I'd say so. Oh, hello. Am I walking? I never seem to stop. But where am I going? Ah! Iberia. I seem to be walking along a sandy shore. A sticky beach. A strange creature from the ocean actually reverberated in my strings. Interesting. You're able to actually play this Eborn. It has the dullest inner voice I've ever heard, and I couldn't obtain any answers. The waves pushed me away from the beach. I was 20 then. How old is Arturia? Because I would have thought she would have been in her 20s now. I seem to be walking walking over sand dunes. Soft grains of sand. Opposite me is a warrior known as the Hayden, as old as the golden grains. With every note I play, history roars from the cracks in the warrior's armor. I was 15 then. I am walking. I never stop. I am walking on. I seem to be walking on grass. I remember this bit. Out on a lawn in the rain, I am attending my first funeral. My thanks to Arturia. It was her music that helped free me of my fetters. And my thanks to you, Marcelo. Thank you for blessing me with a wonderful life all these years. I doubt we'll be apart for long. Once this war is over, we'll be together again. I stand before the gravestones, watching guests walk up one by one to pay their respects to my mother. I hear their voices clearly, sorrow, lament, regret, ridicule, hatred, glee. But why, and how, were they still able to maintain the most suitable sadness on their faces? Do we not respect life only by facing death with our truest feelings? I remember what you told me, Mama. I can still hear your voice from time to time. How much courage do I need to be able to struggle free from my ego day after day? To be brave enough to make that first step. Freedom is so hard to find. But death, why is death so easy? I had finished my performance by the time I woke. Fede, once again, I couldn't control my own music. Arturia, you revere death so much. Death erases one's existence so easily, and puts all emotions to rest. The melodies of those who face the truth, and, inevitably, their deaths leave you impressed. But more often they leave you fearing, hating, doubting. But you are silent. How much more do you need to perform as you wander endlessly about? How long before you finally reach that future? How many more blank pieces do you need to compose for yourself? Even silence will be played. Oh, you're going to Colombia next. And every composition must have its conclusion. I saw your only truth. You are so fragile. Well, I suppose she is going to Rhode Island, so she would be able to. Oh, this is a nice piece. Arturia opens her eyes. She seems to have walked for a long time. Time is like a river, and people travel along with the flow. But why is she, step by step, trudging back the way she came? She feels like she has become a broken vessel. And the unwavering affection, intense hatred, tremendous courage, and unreconcilable despair and remorse she has experienced through thousands of people. They drain from her drop by drop, until she is left with only her empty self. She finds herself outside Kagerijk, in a plaza surrounded by a crowd. Emotionless faces walk past her, and she stands there in a daze, mirroring the same expression as everyone else. Arturia looks up, lifting her head from the lawn she never left. Dark clouds drift over her, and a glistening drop of rain falls on her face, like a tear. A tear for the grief and vulnerability she could not admit in time. You're still going on about this woman, Jesus, man. It's been 3 years. Martha, my love, you were the one who lifted me up from my darkest days, inspiring me. But now I can only live with thoughts of you. Should I go looking for you? Even if our fathers disagree, you must at least know that my love for you has never wavered, not in the slightest. Martha, my love, you were the one who lifted me up from the darkest days, inspiring me to do whatever I want. Gee, okay, he's just repeating himself. Huh. Interesting. Every person in the huge amphitheatre before the spires is muttering something on repeat. They speak of their feelings, but their words lack even a hint of emotion. They do not see Arturia or anyone else. A triangle hits her arm as people cross paths with one another. She almost drops her own instrument. Grimace. Grimace. Michael. Don't leave me alone. It's futile, Federico. Jeez. Good call. Just whacks the teenager. I mean, to be fair, I'd say that's a good call as well. Not for any particular reason, just, you know, whack a teenager when you see the one. Anyway, the situation is out of control. Duh. Mass hallucination. This is the 3rd time I've seen something like this. But the situation here is much more serious than it was at Sonata Spire. It's of a different nature. The Genesis Horn has crumbled after the Witch King's demise, and Kagerreich is about to collapse into reality. It's not a simple hallucination either, but rather they are unable to resist the onslaught of chaos, and their various profound emotions are leaving them. What you're hearing from them now is the only emotion they have left, and their most intense. What are you doing, Arturia? The Gazette, the law, morality, exemplary aesthetics, order cannot help them resist the all-pervasive chaos. Everyone in the plaza will turn into an empty shell of themselves one by one as they lose their very last scrap of emotion. Let me repeat how much of this got... Yeah. We need to bring them back to their senses. You alone are special here, Federico. For most, how can there be will without emotion? Only with emotion and emotions alone can people preserve their ego. These people are blank, as you say, and you still plan to play their tunes. No, this time a performance is about me. Ooh. Ooh. It's about my own emotions, and I'll share them with everyone here. This sounds like another form of empathy. Yet you've tried many times to destroy the foundations of Laterano's empathy. You turned your back on Laterano long ago. Turn my back on Laterano? Maybe I didn't care, but never once have I left Laterano of my own will. I just strongly disagreed with the order represented by the law. As for empathy, its limits are actually the starting point of my vision for the future. I'll explain in more detail later, but for now, look at the countless people before us. They used to cry with all their might, to smile with enthusiasm, and even now they're trying their utmost to retain the very last bit of emotion they experienced in their lives. right up until their final moment, even if they can no longer realize it themselves. Be it the Witch King or Yulia, everyone is equally great and praiseworthy, but also equally incomplete and fragile. This is our ego, and the very essence of our humanity. In other words, simping kept the guy alive, yeah. We must become strong, but we must also leave room for our eradicable fragility. There we go. This is why we need a future where we can all stand side by side, sharing our joys and sorrow. I am perceiving myself, Federico. At this very moment, I can only give hope to others if I harbour hope myself, and likewise with love. I want to use this tiny shred of ego to connect every sorrow and joy. The sounds of your strings. People are coming your way. That young noble's face is showing an expression. Emotional reflux, an involuntary reaction. A hollowed-out soul needs time to re-accept everything. Operational assessment. Arturia, your actions will help stabilize the situation. Executive Federico Giallo will assist you. Don't you dare, we all know how tone-deaf you are. I will allow no one to interrupt you. Okay, fair enough. Until you have finished playing. After the briefest of pauses, Arturia grips her bow tightly again. The movement builds towards its climax, the scrubbed strings resounding in rapid flutter like butterflies' wings. Okay, you know what? We need to have an anime movie with this event from Arknights, because can you just imagine this scene? Like at the climax, just, you know, going on all emotional with all the display of magic and everything around it. In a way, it actually would be kind of be like, in a way, I've just now reminded myself of Pokemon Rise of Darkrai, which, you know, where the bell tower plays the music to calm down the Palkia and Dialga. That's really random, but it is kind of in that same vein. I can imagine the scene being a lot like that with this, with waking the people up. Anyway. She manages a glance up at the sky and sees a giant crack suspended above the twin spires. An eye of darkness open wide, but still the sunset surrounds it, yet to be completely eroded. How beautiful the sunset is, like a blaze set aflame when the shackles are smashed open. Oh! That sound, the Sanctus performing. The knot's moving again. I can sense Ebonholes. Ermengarde! Oh, on it, on it! Threads fly into the clouds from the Lich's fluttering robes. The wind traverses the sky again, and the frozen clouds resume their drifting. A mildly intense vibration follows right after, like the slight turbulence when a train enters a station. The passage is stable. As long as you stay awake, they'll be out in no time. Michael, wake up! Wait, did they just watch him get beaten, or were they also, like, thingied? Grimace must have entrusted you with something. You need to recall what it was. My tuba. Hold your instrument properly. Grimace? Is this my memory? The strings are showing me. I'm imagining Federico Karate Chop Michael. Oh, I imagined him whacking him with the butt of his shotgun. Because apparently I'm very mean. The tube is heavy and you're tired, correct? Then say it. You are but a child. There's no need to hide what's in your heart. You're afraid. That's normal. Adults fear me, as do nobles older than yourself. Even the most ferocious casters fear me. They believe my sword will pierce through their chests at the moment it crosses my mind to. Yet you're unafraid, and you want to be my voice. Have you really thought this through? No, that doesn't matter. You're just a child after all, who knew nothing when your kin sent you here. Don't cling to my leg. I can wield my sword if you... I can't wield my sword if you're like this. Fine, I'll just assume you're tired. You'll have to practice your instrument and arts later, in your own room. There are nobles waiting outside to see me, so I won't be coming back here today. You can take a nap, or play for a while. Adults fear me, fish fear me. If you still want to be an Empress's voice, we can discuss it again when you're able to carry a tuba. Also, don't think that you have to become one just because that's what Lupukan expects of you. We cannot choose where we are born, but we should at least be able to choose when we turn around. Our responsibilities should not be forced on us by others. Wait! Is Lupukan one of the wolf spirits? Or is it just his family name? I don't know. I feel like that was one of the spirits though. So that makes him one of Oh. Well, I know Michael's a Lupo, but that doesn't mean all Lupos are part of the spirit thing. Oh, Lupukan is his family name. Okay, never mind. Because I thought Lupukan was one of the wolf spirits. So I got confused for a moment. I was thinking that basically meant he was one of the Fangs. No, but he was sent there from Syracuse. Okay. Right, okay, that confused me for a moment. I recognised the name, but I recognised it from the wrong thing. I was going to say, that would have been cool, but at the same time, I would have been very worried because I know how cutthroat they are, and I wouldn't have wanted him to meet Red. Anyway. You'll have the right to play the horn I gave you when you've thought it through on your own and decided on what you want to stand here as. I remember now. I have to play my tuba. I have to tell the Gesatzwatcher everyone's safe. Red will stab him. Exactly why I'm worried. Or why I would be worried if he was actually a Fang. So, which is why I'm also glad it's not. I won't disappoint you. Also, baseline's E2 has an angry little wolf pup on it. Ooh! Mein Majestat. Grimace. That's so weird. That's so funny to say. Damn. Fine work, Michael. The cello. It sounds so clear. Is Frau Giallo helping us? No, not just that. Us. She's helping everyone. At the very least, we still have our souls for the moment. Mujestat. Mujestat. Oh, I don't know. I give up. It's too late now. We can still fight. Baseline is surprisingly good. I can't remember if I got him, unfortunately. I'll need to double check, but I think I didn't. Is that the outside? Is this a passage? We can exit through it. Viviana, find Fremont and ensure that everyone in the space returns to Terra. Here's a free one. Huh? Yeah, I was going to say it was gacha because the free one was Lessing. You really confused me for a moment. I thought I had missed one. What about you and Grimace? Us? Naturally, we'll fulfill the duty we've always shouldered. To keep any and all threats away from Leithanien. Ah, the little bow. Bow? Little bow. Finally, just the two of us now. Just two of us. Sorry, that is the wrong song to be singing at this moment. The final melody has already resounded. Is it called a bow in English? Yes. If you tilt your head or you, like, drop at the knees if you're a woman, because that's typically how they bow, it's called a bow. In German, it's actually called a nix. Really? That's a really funny word. Lizalette, your shield will cover the twin towers and everyone under the spires. Isn't a courtesy when a woman lowers at the knees? So typically, or at least the way I was taught it, a man will bow by basically putting his forearm to his abdomen and basically bends downwards from where his forearm is. Not too dissimilar from what they do in Japan, but not as far down. And the women bow their head slightly, but they also hold onto their dress and sort of bend at the knees a bit, so they sort of drop lower. Kind of like what Viviana did. And your sword? My fate has long since been decided, from the moment I stepped into this place. No, from even before that. Once the Genesis Horn broke away from the plans Fremont and I had drafted for it, descended upon the centre of Zwillingstürme, there was only one choice left for me. Indeed. Hildegard, is there nothing else you want to ask me? Yes, one foot in front of the other. That was what I left out. Hildegard, is there nothing else? Oh yeah, right. Well, sure enough, your response is pretty much what I expected. The passage is closing rapidly. Darkness rushes in, filling up the tiny cracks that should not exist. Oh yeah, courtesy, fair enough. Oh great, with a family of foxes moving in. Aww! Let them. Wrapped in the dark fog are countless restless eyes, swarming towards the two of them and the reality behind them. A shade of gold brushes past a hue of black. Herkumshorn built a spire here, established order amidst chaos. As one who's inherited his power and even killed him, naturally I'll be able to surpass him in this as well. Is this going to end up being a thing where Lazalette stays in Terror and Grimace stays in the Void? So one Empress for the real world and one Empress for the Void version. That would be kind of interesting. And thematically matches, but probably not. You can say that, but you try sleeping with them screaming. I would be absolutely be fine with that. I love foxes. The eyes in the void, the threats within the chaos, the beings condensed from fear, the enemies who do not exist in reality. Demons. I, Grimace, Kaiserin of Leithanien, and her sharpest sword, hereby declare that you will never invade my country. Ah, that's a lot. Ooh, that's pretty. Oh, she sort of like dropped it onto the ground. A radiant, another shot, blaze blossoms from Grimace's sword. The fragments of the Genesis Spire scattered into the void reunite under the command of her arts, erecting a new spire. You shall not pass! Or in this case, you shall not disintegrate. Sorry, I'm already drunk. The monument stands between Kagerreich and reality, blocking the eyes in the dark from prying on all living existence. The twin spires in reality, the people beneath them, and the clouds above all blend into one under her light, becoming a blurry warm ripple, gradually drifting away from her. I know, I am, Cat. Grimace does not look back. Her arts, her sword, and her body have all become one with the pitch-black monument. They all say you are impossible to defeat. Oh, I hear the growling of these demons. Be it here and now, or in the distant future, I will be undone by chaos before joining it. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. This is my fate. But it is absolutely not the fate of Leithanien and her people. Ah. Just sneaky little fella? Yeah. I might leave the last node until the archive gets opened. Just because I don't think I'll be able to last any longer. Or rather I shouldn't, because I'll hate myself in the morning when I have to wake up at 6. The sunset. It's back. That'll be a year. Someone said the archive was releasing in a couple of days though. Oh, come on, guys. Please be consistent. Which one is it? Is it in a couple of days, or is it after the rerun? And so beautiful. Did something fall from the sky? That's... Ah! Rising down like mercy. The irregular dark clouds crack open. A clearly visible hue of gold shines through the grim sky, gracefully caressing everyone's faces with its light. Leithanien's people wake up from their dystopian nightmare and are immediately greeted by dazzling clouds of rosy gold descending between the twin spires. No one knows who started it, but the people involuntarily begin to play the instruments in their hands. It is no longer the Golden Gazette or any other familiar classical piece. A brand new melody accompanying the multicoloured radiance, another shot, of Originium arts echoes the excitement in everyone's hearts, following spontaneously under the rosy clouds. What is a Kaiserinnen? She's a Kaiserinnen. One of them. So those two twins, her and the other one in the black uniform. Did you see that, Federico? Leithanien's new hero. No, the birth of a new god. and were cosplaying them. I mean, we could have art of it at least. The one who killed Herculeshorn for the second time neutralized Leithanien's calamity and brought hope and vitality back to the people of this great land. Leithanien's sole Kaiserin, Laserlet, I'm just going to say Laserlet, the Eternal Grace. She will replace the Genesis Spire completely and become the sovereign of Leithanien's sky, more splendid than the gold of the sunset itself. Gold der Zwillingstürme. The people are ecstatic, and her wish is fulfilled. But this newborn god, she sheds a tear. The brilliance of her golden radiance snatches away everyone's attention, leaving the tear rolling off her face to remain in darkness for eternity. Damn. Ah, I wanted to do this last one, but it's too late. What time is it? Yeah, it's 12 o'clock. Ah. Yeah, I really should try to sleep for 6 hours. But at least it's been confirmed by a couple of people now that the archive will actually be there. Someone, I think it was Merwin, said that they were looking at Jessica's cutscenes in the archive, so check the minigame if you've done all Easter eggs before it gets away. Yeah, I will check, but I'm going to not do it now. Yeah. Also, my throat really hurts. Best rest, don't risk it, yeah. The whole making Laserlet God strikes me as a lot more sinister when the Twin Empresses are also mini tyrants. I suppose to an extent. Because, I mean, I suppose they were already... they're already empresses, so it's like, is there really much of a difference between an empress who's flesh and blood and an empress that's considered a god? At the end of the day, they're still absolute monarchs. I think you just have to craft a number of melodies to get the Easter egg, so you can just craft some melodies and read the short thing. Fair. I'm not going to do it now, though. I'm sorry. I need to just go straight to bed. Like, bear in mind, when I say I have to get up at 6, what I really mean is I get up at like 5:30. And then I have to actually get ready by 6. I'll probably do it on my phone while I'm in bed before I go to sleep, but I won't do it now. Just remembered something, but when you go offline now, Throat needs resi. For it to go if I find it. Basis 3. But yeah, so that's it for now. Wednesday, again, I believe is I was a teenage exocolonist. Assuming I feel up for doing that, I most likely will. So that's Wednesday, and then Friday is Elite Dangerous. Saturday will be Arknights again, but I think I'll be doing reacting to EPs, because I think I've collected enough of them now that I haven't seen, so I might do that. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I might end up just doing Nispen or doing both. It depends. Anyway, until then though, thank you guys so much for hanging around, and I shall see you all next time. Bye bye. EP reactions, yes, yee. Bye bye.